Welcome to the countdown. While you wait for the show to begin, try to relax, grab a drink, sit down, and just enjoy the music.
Yeah. Ooh, whoa.
Don't Christina it out.
Okay. If you dream of exploiting everything and believe nature's not worth anything, if you sign the lease, all your wildest dreams, they will come true. They will come true. Welcome everyone to Not the Chop. This is not an episode of the Chop. This is actually a normal live stream, a whatever live stream, a time that we take to talk to each other, answer some questions, discuss some things that we don't usually discuss on this show, having a nice time, since there wasn't an episode actually this week, well, not a normal episode anyway, I thought, well, you know what? Let's take a week. Let's take a little bit of a pause. Let's not go through everything that we go through every time we want to prepare and actually make a show that's going to be ready here on Sunday night. We are in Europe. Here is actually 11 p.m. So, first of all, let's greet everyone in the chat. We have Coffee on Zitili, Jennifer O'Sterling, Dixie, of course, John Young, Seneca Fuller, Fantasia, Melanie, Zoe, Jessica S, Eddie Littlewood, Lena Clark, Valentine 2000, Dumplink, Dark Magic, and that's all about it. And Kyle Illustration, Felicia, Registered Human, Savannah, well, everybody is joining right now. Perfect. So, what are we going to do this stream? Well, we're going to have a little bit of a chit chat. We're going to talk about the special that went on this week, the special that we cannot actually name. I would actually be very grateful if you can avoid writing the C word in the chat or the P word in the chat, because this, whenever you mention the name of what is going on, YouTube gets crazy, locks the video. Some people will get the video taken down, some people will get community strike, so you know which kind of special we're talking about. Just avoid to use that specific word in the chat and everything will be fine. Everything will be just fine. Mino says, I refuse to think that the C special foreshadows anything. I read it. I saw that you deleted, but thank you, because it's YouTube. Unfortunately, we get a lot of positive things while being on YouTube, and we get a lot of shitty things as well. So, since this episode was a little bit of a behind the scene, I thought before we begin, I give you a little bit of a behind the scene of our show as well, so that you can get an idea. I talked about this actually last week, I think, with Fantasia on the Discord, because sometimes we take a little bit of time, we watch something, then we have a little bit of a chat and so on. So actually this week I prepare almost nothing, because there was no episode. But usually what happens is that we get the episode on Saturday. So usually on Saturday I try to wake up really early, because it takes 2 to 3 hours to actually get the episode. And so we get the episode, then we watch it together, we take notes, we do a little bit of brainstorming and commenting during the show. Then we have lunch, and then after that is confessional time. So I will watch the episode and start noting down all the things that I noticed, all the things that I want to talk about, and tracking down all of the confessionals, which means time-stamping every confessional so that I know exactly how long they last. But I also know where they actually are in the episode. So if I want to go back later and find something that was said by one queen, okay, then I know how to get it. and that takes the best part of 4 hours, sometimes a little bit longer, because at the same time we also take timestamps for the part of videos that we want to include when the actual episode come out. So it's a little bit of a long work, let's say it like that. Then if everything is done before dinner, then we have dinner, and then in the night it's time to take screenshots, organize all the things that I want to talk about, create text files with an order in which I want to talk all the things that I want to talk about. And if that's not finished, then it's bumped up to Sunday. I usually try to stay awake as long as possible on Saturday night, so that I will sleep longer on Sunday morning and I can actually be awake here for the live stream on Sunday night. So I will wake up really late on Sunday, finish everything that needs to be finished for the stream, rest a little bit in the afternoon, and then we finally have the show in the night. And then we have Monday night, Tuesday night, with chopping up the episode, getting the videos, and preparing for the episode to go out. So not actually having to do anything this week, and still having to come here on stream, have our little chit chat, have our time. It's really a nice thing. You know, it's a nice change for once. I enjoy the reward, but sometimes I get tired of the work, you know, if you know what I mean. Now, Jules, are you feeling better after the last week bathtub drama? Well, yes, I'm feeling better. I actually tried to fix my keyboard. I did a little bit of research, and it turned out that if you don't dry everything in your laptop, then what happens is whenever dust gets in, it gets wet and it can create shorts. So I opened everything and cleaned everything again with alcohol, and believe it or not, it worked for 2 days. Then it started doing the same thing again. So I am still with my, hold style keyboard, if you know what I mean. I had to redisconnect it, and I don't know. The whole thing is bolted to the chassis. So at some point I won't give up. I will open it again, remove all these rivets, not bolts, rivets, and try to recover it. I'm not giving up on this. It will take some time, but for the moment it works. So we'll see what happens. Let's go to the comments. Insulin Dependent says, don't skip, chat, don't skip. When I first found this channel, I thought, wow, they break the show down like they're doing brain surgery. Now I see that it is like brain surgery. Well, it's a lot of work. It is, it takes two people and actually a whole weekend to do this. But you have to see the upside of all of this. When you want to see which kind of narratives have been pushed, or when people tell you, well, this thing doesn't really seem like this person said it, and then you can go back, you can track down all of the confessionals and leave little notes and say, oh, this was a chopped confessional, so this person didn't really say this. And then you can track the haircut that they have to realize where it was actually said originally. So in a way, it's a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work. Antonina says, have you seen the clip from the last episode where Olivia Lux is rehearsing on stage and sits with other queens at the same time? Yes, I saw it. I couldn't believe I missed it. Yes, there is a clip online. I think it's here on YouTube, where you can see Olivia reacting to herself while she is rehearsing. It's like Jara Sofia back in season 3 in the reunion. When she was reacting to herself getting the Miss Congeniality thing. Well, what can you expect? They always do things like this. Take reaction shots from other moments and then paste them in a totally different context. For some reason, well, we know the reason. It's about storylines and so on. But Valentin says, do you think they might have this episode to stretch out the season or no? Well, I like this special episode of Drag Race. because I mostly enjoy the behind the scene content. There was a lot of shilling and very little behind the scenes. They talked about all the precautions that they took, and it felt like they were stroking themselves a little bit, if you know what I mean. But other than that, I noticed a couple of things that we're going to talk about in a minute. Let's see if we have something else in the chat, but I don't think that they necessarily wanted to stretch the season, but you never know, because you have the producing company, which is World of Wonder, on one side, and then you have the network on the other side. So if the network says, listen, this thing is really bringing us a lot of money, try to make a little bit more episode, try to make a special episode, but I would have expected an episode like this to come out after we have the top 4 and before the reunion episode. This is what I was expecting. So if we are still going to have a look back after we have the top 4, then we know for sure, yes, they wanted to stretch the season, because an episode like this, I wasn't really expecting it in the middle of the season. I was expecting it before the finale, when we usually have this look back and this filler episode, let's say like this. I wasn't expecting it right now, but we're going to see. Jules says, Bob even started in Twitter that by episode 9 they had their top 4. Yes, if you follow Drag Race UK, which I'm trying to watch a little bit, what are they, like 6, 7 episodes in, and they're basically in the top 5, top 6. This season is the infinite season. It's never going to finish, And I thought to myself, gosh, we picked the perfect season to do the live stream and also publish the episode. It was like the perfect season, the longest season. If they even have a reunion episode and then a live finale and then an episode in which they do a look back to the season, this is going to be the longest season of Drag Race we've ever had. I thought that season 3 was the longest one to date, but they're going to break that record for sure. Beatrice says they want an Emmy, also for documentary. Robin Barron and Victoria joined the chat. Welcome. So let's talk about a couple of things that I noticed during this special. Oops, wrong button, sorry. Because there is not much. It was interesting for me. There is not much, but some things are really, really important. Like, for example, do you remember when we were trying to count during the chop the actual time that it took to film? I think it was episode 3, if I'm not mistaken. On episode 2 and episode 3, because they were the 2 different premiere with the winner and the loser group. And the speculation was that they wake up at 8 a.m. They had to be on set at 8 a.m. So they probably wake up like at 7, get ready, and then go to film about 8 a.m. This was actually confirmed. If you watch this special episode of Drag Race, they actually receive a note. It's not... Nobody reads the actual note, but on the note, it's written that they have to be ready in the workroom at 8 a.m. So at least we start getting a little bit of an insight of when they start working. And it's probably madness, You go from 8 a.m., then you have a little bit of a pause for lunch, and then they probably go on until the afternoon, maybe even after dinner if they're late. I think it's probably crazy to have to do all of that. Then we get to know that they tested the queens 3 times a week, which... might be pleasurable for some, but if you ever had a test, it feels kind of a home invasion, if you know what I mean. It's a little bit too much. And we also saw in this episode that after voting to eliminate Elliot in what was it? Episode 3. No, it was episode 2, when we get to see the queens actually eliminating Elliot, voting with the lipstick. And something that was not shown during the season is that after eliminating Elliot, they have a group hug. to kind of console Elliot. It was nice to see that such a thing happened, but I would have liked to see it in the actual episode because it's a very human moment. But at the moment, they were probably trying to push shock value, trying to push drama. So at least let's be grateful that we got to see something like this at this point. Then two other things that I noticed, and this were the queens that actually said it. Candy said that they just sent their audition tape using the plural. Now, at the best of my knowledge, Candy Muse is not fluid, so I think she refers to herself as he, him, but she said we just sent the audition tape, which means that to prepare her audition tape, at least a lot of people were involved to actually prepare it, film it, editing it probably, and then send it in. Another thing that Tina said was that, and this is something that they should have left on the cutting room floor, she said going to Drag Race, even in this time, is a huge opportunity. So I don't care if I'm going to risk my life. This is something that they should definitely live out of this thing, because it's not a good look. You want to push the message that they were safe while filming, that all the rules were respected and implemented and carried on, and then you have one person saying, well, if I die, it's no big deal. It's a huge opportunity. It's not a good look. It's not really a good look. Then we also got to know that they have 5 weeks to prepare the outfits. Do you remember how many times we talk about the outfits, the cost of the fabric, the cost of paying a stylist, the cost of sewing all of that stuff, and we came to a price tag for a season anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000, depending on how much sewing you can actually do in those 5 weeks. There is a moment in which we see Utica talking about rushing through her wardrobe and try to take bits and pieces from everywhere and try to sew something. But let's not forget, it's 30 outfits. There is only so much more that you can do in those 5 weeks to actually get all those 30 outfits ready. 30 on average. It's a number that comes from season 12. And it's a perspective number that comes from this season, because I think we're well over 15 outfits by this point. But I have a chart for that as well, so probably next time we will talk about it. Felicia said, I'm beginning to wonder if RPDR will follow. Follow what? Let me see. Lena says, VH1 finally dropped them? Oh, drop what? Oh my god, what did I miss from the chat? I was talking, and I completely missed the chat. Oh, All Stars is going to stream on Paramount Plus. Oh, okay. Mino says, do you think this episode will still be used to push storyline, or do you think this is mostly unedited and transparent since it's special? I'll go to your question in a moment. First, remember, VH1 and Paramount Plus are all part of the same parent company, which is the Viacom CBS Corporation. I don't know if you followed what happened to them. The Viacom and Paramount were the same company, then they split at some point, and then finally, I think it was last year, they merged together again, and they renamed the streaming service CBS All Access. They renamed it Paramount Plus. So it's the same parent company. It's just that they are moving Drag Race All-Stars from the cable network. I think VH1 is cable. They're going to move it to the streaming platform because, as you know, probably the future is going to be all in the streaming industry. So every company is trying to push as much as possible their streaming service. So having Drag Race All-Stars move to the streaming service will certainly help push Paramount Plus a little bit more, because CBS All Access, at the best of my knowledge, was not doing well at all. Even though they tried to use this reboot of Star Trek, whatever they want to call it, this thing that has Star Trek in the name, and it didn't go really well. I don't think the whole streaming service went really well. So They renamed it. Now it's called Paramount Plus, and I am not surprised to see such a shift of moving things from the cable to the streaming platform, because let's face it, I don't think many people will actually watch TV in 20, 30 years from now. It's probably everything is going to be online. So to go back to Mino's question, I didn't notice any kind of pushing storylines while watching this episode, but also I was watching it for enjoying it. I wasn't actually watching it trying to dissect every tiny little things, but what I did notice is that in the end, a lot of queens were portrayed in a very human way. And if you know what I think about this whole C situation, the Rona situation, you know how we talked about it during the season 12, The Chop, when the whole mess with Gigi Good came out, and we talked about the specials that they did on VH1 to push responsibility, to, you know, look like they were really taking this thing seriously. So to me, it looks like this episode was more mandated by the network than an actual executive choice from World of Wonder, if you know what I mean. So no, I didn't notice any kind of narratives been pushed. Actually, every queen came off in a very human way, which was really refreshing for once, you know, without having this constant thing of telling someone, oh, this someone is fabulous, is fabulous, is fabulous, this one is a villain, this one is a question mark. You know what I mean? It was really cool. I actually enjoyed this episode very much. Registered Human says, I feel so sorry for the queens who left early. They don't make that much per episode and no one won a challenge. Well, all the queens were actually in this episode. Maybe you're referring to the fact that they get paid for appearing in an episode of Drag Race. At the best of my knowledge, they don't get paid much at all. What you get from Drag Race is whatever you get to earn after the fame of Drag Race basically skyrockets your booking fee. This is what you really get. This is your real prize at the end of the game. Because let's face it, even if you win Drag Race and you spend $40,000, $50,000 to prepare for the outfits, then $100,000 after taxes is basically enough to recover the cost that you spend for outfits. What really pays you is when you have a couple gigs a week and you get paid $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 per gig every week, and that goes on for a whole year. And even after you paid all your taxes on that, you still come up with the better part of $1 million if you work hard. You know what I mean? You work hard and also you last long on the race. You last maybe a top 4. You know, if you play your card well and you're in the top 4 and everything in the world is actually open, well, their check will definitely go in the in the 7-digit zone. That is for sure. There is no doubt about that. Blazing Bard, I don't think they make a ton per episode anyway, to be honest. I vaguely remember Willem talking about it. Yes, in the contract that we have from season 8, it's like, if I remember correctly, it's like $300. But it was from season 8, so maybe it was raised, I don't know. But my best assumption, it's about $500-$600 per episode. More for All Stars, that is for sure, because those queens already have an international career, they're already established. But for the queens that come on a regular season, the unknown on the big screen, on the small screen, sorry, then, well, no, I don't imagine they get paid that much. Now, another thing that they said during the episode is that they film confessionals in front of an iPad. The producer is not actually there. And they also said that sometimes they get connectivity problems. Is that enough to justify all those confessionals from Rosé, all those confessionals from Camora, all those confessionals from Simone? To justify why these confessionals were allegedly refilmed, I don't think so. Because if something doesn't come out right, if something is not recorded right, let's remember that all of this footage is archived, and labeled every day, because you need to be very well organized when you have so much material. We are talking about video files from 10, probably 15 different cameras over 8-10 hours of filming. Then you have all the audio packs that comes from the personal microphone. All of these things have to be labeled and archived at the end of each day, at the beginning of the next day. Everything has to be easily and readily accessible, if you know what I mean. So they would have noticed something like this, and they would have refilmed it in the moment. So I think that all of the allegedly refilmed confessionals that we saw, they were actually for storyline purposes. All of them. Dixie, I really enjoyed the special. It was a pleasant surprise. I agree it was the most refreshing. Yes, me too. But apparently the most... the common opinion is that it wasn't really nothing special, but to me it was. Maybe because we all kind of watched the show under a different eye in a way. So even though there was no actual competition, it was actually interesting. Blazing Bard, I really enjoyed seeing the backstage area, like when they used to go to smoke outside. I always liked it. I enjoy it as well. I wouldn't mind a virtual tour of the new studio, the one where they moved recently, because before they were in another one, the All Stars 3 final act was filmed as a goodbye to the old studio. So I wouldn't mind a kind of virtual tour or something like that. It would be really nice. It would be interesting. Registered Human, why was everyone's lip orange in this special? Well, maybe they had filtering issues. Oh. Okay, so next up, I found this thing from Tina's stylist. It was, I think it was last week. I cannot remember. But basically, this Florence D. Lee was the stylist for Tina for this season. And this is interesting because it actually confirms the fact that they have 5 weeks to prepare for Drag Race. And it also confirms something else, that your expense for the season, it's going to be really, really high if you cannot sew, if you cannot style. So if you have to pay a stylist to style all of the dresses that are needed for the season, and then you have to commission all of the work, get all of the fabric, none of your gown is going to come off with a price tag of less than $2,000. It's simply impossible. So when Florence is actually talking about preparing the outfits for Tina, what he said was he talked about it as a package, Tina's package for Drag Race. So you see, at this point, when you have, maybe this is more frequent for more established queens, they simply go to a stylist and says, okay, I have this, and this runway to prepare. So style something, we'll go back and forth, see if I like it, then we will commission it to someone and have it done. And then you bring it on Drag Race, and what the hell are the judges actually judging? Your ability to choose a right stylist at this point? Do you see? Well, I always feel a little bit guilty talking or critiquing the outfits, because most of the time is a war against people whoever has the most money can hire the best stylist and get the best materials and get the best that they can. It becomes a money game. It's not about talent anymore, So this kind of confirms all of this thing that's going around it. And I think that in the future, the producer will have to address this specific issue, because when finally the big public will start oh God, I cannot talk today. When finally the big public will start to realize that when they judge the outfit, they're basically judging the buying power of someone. When the big public will realize this, then some things will definitely have to change. I am a big advocate of giving these queens like a small amount of money in the beginning of the season, like here is $30,000, and you can use it to buy all of the outfits that you need to buy fabric if you can sew, pay a stylist if you want to pay a stylist. But this is the amount of money that you have, and this is the only amount of money that you can spend to actually prepare for the season. Everything else either comes from your wardrobe or or was bought with this budget. And that's one possible solution. Another possible solution is to simply maybe have a longer season and have the queens simply get whatever they have in their own wardrobe, like they used to do until season 6. Season 6 was the last season where the queens would actually get in the workroom. They were actually get to film Drag Race and actually bring whatever they have in their own wardrobe. And whatever you don't have, you will have to sew it right there, or maybe you get a loan from somebody else, and that's it. And that's simply it. And this, for me, is the best choice because we actually get to see their talent. How will they take what they have in their wardrobe and apply it to whatever is the theme for that specific runway? So this is going to be an issue for the survival of the race in the future because people are starting to realize this. It's not an open secret anymore. It's start to become common knowledge. So people will start saying, oh, you know what? Yes, this thing looks beautiful, but who gives a shit about that? She simply had the money to buy this expensive gown. This other person didn't have the money. During the show, I talked about the fact that Lala seemed to have a little bit of a less expensive wardrobe. And what are you going to do? Judge her on that? Because she didn't have that much money to spend? And on top of all of this, there was also the middle of the pandemic. So some people were lucky because they were in a state in which they had maybe less strict rules to follow. Others were basically fucked because everything was closed. They didn't know where to buy things. It was crazy. It was really crazy. That's why usually I don't really judge the runway. And this season, if I do judge the runway, I'm like very, very soft about it, like very, very vanilla. It's not really about what they have. It's mostly about, did I enjoy it? Did I not enjoy it? And then go through the critique and do the critique of the critiques, if you know what I mean. Coffee says, yes, very that. It's neither about being able to win a design challenge versus being able to buy a design. Yes, absolutely. That's the problem. That's the whole problem of all of it. So this is about it for the special. Now, last week I talked about this actually with Fantasia. You know what I think about the drama, everything that goes on in that particular kind of community. We never really talk about this kind of things, but we are going to talk a little bit about it in different terms than what everybody does. I'm not really interested in the actual drama itself. I'm not going to talk about that because all of you basically know what's going on. What I find actually interesting from both these situations that have exploded in the last couple of weeks is the people's reaction from it, the polarization of the fandom that comes out of situations like this, and how that polarization is usually used to gain something at the expense of someone else. And that something can be anything. Usually it can be self-fulfillment, it can be a feeling of being righteous, it can be clout, it can be money, it can be engagement, but everybody has to gain something by polarizing the fandom. And at the end of the day, the only people who really lose are the people who are targeted by this kind of polarization, and the fandom itself, it's left behind in ignorance, if you will, because the only thing that they are shown is whatever helps pushing a specific narrative, which might or not be true, but that it doesn't really matter in the end, because all these topics that are talked about are always talked about from one perspective, and that's it. So you are not supposed to learn anything from it. You are simply supposed to engage in whatever the mass is telling you to engage into, and that's it. And whatever you're left with is a little bit of anger, a little bit of disgust, if you will, and nothing else. So let's talk about for a moment about this two queens and what is going on with them and what's going on around the fandom and why this thing is going on. Now, first of all, I want to say something positive and something negative about both of these queens to try to be as objective as possible, because and this is something that you don't usually see. Now, the situation with Nina, are you familiar with the situation with these two queens, or do I need to actually explain what has been going on in the past 3-4 weeks, whatever it is? Because I can spend a little bit in telling you, and then we can move on to what I actually want to talk about. Valentin, familiar? Okay, well, if Eddie, I have no clue what's going on. Jeffrey, I don't need explaining. Blazing, I know about it. Lena, I'd like a footnote version of what happened, please. Okay. Okay, so let's do a tiny bit of a resume and go very quickly about it. So basically, Nina has a review show, and she said a ton of things that a lot of people have been saying, oh, this is phobic, this is that. To me, it looked ignorant, plain and simple. She said a lot of controversial things about Gottmik and who can do drag, who cannot do drag, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. So the reaction to this was to demonize Nina, as if she actually went on the street and beat up a trans man. You know, the reaction that I saw from social media was exactly the same. Now, the positive things that I want to say about Nina is that she made a lot of jokes about a trans man that is also a drag queen. Why this is a positive thing in a way? Well, because in the future we want to eventually reach a point in which these things don't matter anymore. It doesn't matter the way you identify. It doesn't matter your orientation. It doesn't matter whatever you have between your legs. All of these things, they don't really matter at all. This is the point that we want to reach in the future. So at some point in the far future, because it's probably going to be far, we will eventually reach a point in which we can actually joke about all of these things. Because this is what happens when you have issues that they are pushed behind. Sometimes you are the bottom of the joke. Sometimes I am the bottom of the joke. But this is something that comes very, very later on. So although I can understand the mentality in which I think these jokes were made, the problem is that they were done right now. Nina actually does her show as if you are in the private of her home. You know, she completely missed the point that when you have a platform, you also have a responsibility that comes with it. And you have to accept that responsibility because you enjoy all of the, how can I say, all of the gains of having a platform, because you get to earn a ton of money while doing like a fraction of the work that any normal person will do. But that thing also comes with the responsibility. So this kind of conversations that you can have in the private of your own house, you cannot have them outside, because you are going to leave a wrong impression on people that will actually listen to what you say and will actually educate themselves based on what you say. So you have to take this into consideration, and she didn't do this. So she can have her opinions, she can think whatever she wants, but the fact that the real problem with Nina for me is that she didn't use her platform properly. That's not your living room. That is a place where people will listen to what you say and follow what you say, and you cannot afford to do that. And if you want to go back to live your life as if you were living in the living room, then you don't have to have a platform, because that's a responsibility that comes with it. The problem is that, of course, there was a huge polarization against Nina, as if it was so exaggerated to me that it felt surreal. At my very worst, what I think about Nina is that you are simply ignorant. You don't want to accept a ton of things. You are gatekeeping on some things, but there is a difference between all of the shit that Nina said and the people that are actually out there and actually harassing trans people or trying to push legislation against them. Or you know what I mean. There are two different. Whenever you have this kind of situation, I always see two different ways in which you can seem to be against something. One is a very active way, and I'm talking about the people who do all this kind of shitty things. I'm talking about the people who will fire you because you're trans. I'm talking about the people who will vote for a politician who clearly stated that he didn't want to have trans people to use the bathroom that they should go based on their gender they identify with. I'm talking about this kind of people. They take an active actions against a specific minority. And then you have people like Nina who are simply very ignorant about it, and they project an image of ignorance. And there is a huge difference between these two groups. This is something that I want you to understand. And the problem is that whenever this kind of issues are talked about in the fandom, the reaction is always one. And it's an extreme reaction where everything is granted because this person did wrong. There is no measure of wrongness. It's simply right or wrong. So if someone does wrong, then you are automatically allowed to lash at them with everything that you have. And this is simply a crazy system. And it's a system that it's been constantly pushed by a lot of people who have a platform. And this is something that's why I don't go into these things this much, because at some point I just get tired of it. It's just too much, because And believe me when I say everybody has to gain from polarizing a fandom. Everybody. Because if you have a platform yourself and you start taking these issues to polarize people, well, then you will get money, then you will get clout, then you will get engagement. But all of these things are rarely educational. Rarely you are left with some sort of knowledge that you can use to better yourself. This kind of things, they are actually there telling you this message. This person is bad, and this is the right thing to do. And people don't work that way. People will learn nothing if you just tell them you should do this. That's not how people work. People work by getting them into thinking about issues. Getting their own opinion. You need to present problems and ask them to find their own solution and then start a conversation. This is how people learn. But whenever you see the fandom or one of these people with a platform lashing at people like Elliot and people like Nina, you find absolutely nothing of this. The only thing that you find is an echo chamber in which this week's victim is this person, because this person went out of line. Well, that line is not actually a line that divides right from wrong. That is actually a spectrum, and we should talk about that, because Elliot has been referred to for the past month as Elliot with 3 Ks. And I mean, those people killed other people, you know. Now we can spend all day. This is actually some screenshot that San actually sent me via email, so thank you for sending them. But this is how people react to Elliot. And mind you, I'm not saying that Elliot can do whatever the fuck he wants. What I said for Nina is the exact same thing from Elliot. You have a platform that comes with responsibility. But then again, she didn't kill fucking anyone. She didn't vote to restrict the rights of some people. She didn't go out there actively harassing someone. This is, we don't know which kind of environment she actually grew in. We have no idea of that. We don't know which kind of history she has. The only thing that we know is that she said this specific thing one day. And when it was pointed out, she didn't apologize. This is what we know. Nothing more, nothing else. But then the fandom has been polarized. And what happens when the fandom is polarized? That they start digging, finding tweets from 10 years ago. I cannot even remember who I was 10 years ago. But since the fandom is basically very young, we are talking about tweets that Elliot left out when he was basically a teenager. And God knows the shit that we say when we are teenager, which is part of our development, actually believing in this kind of shit and then bursting the bubble. It's actually an important part of the development. You have to expect a teenager to talk bullshit, because that is the phase of life in which you have to talk bullshit, so that later you can realize all the bullshit that you talked about. But basically you have a polarized fandom getting tweets from 10 years ago, trying to, it looks to me, and this might be because, you know, I look from the outside, it looks to me like they tried and to find every way to find something wrong with this queen. Now, I haven't seen the Wiz, the movie, so I have no idea what it is about. I cannot pronounce what I say, but my impression is that, you know, it seems like they're really pushing hard to leave a negative image of this person, which in the best case scenario, from my point of view, is ignorant. And that's it. There is a difference between this person and the people that will go in the street and actually beat you up because of your skin color, or the people who will actually get to leave legislation out that will remove funds from a school who is in a part of the city that is populated by people of color, by immigrants, you know, these kind of people, these people that actually do things that will definitely put a dent in the quality of your life. So I'm not, you know, I'm not saying that Elliot shouldn't be called out, but that depends on what you mean by calling out, you know? People could simply leave a message and say, listen, this thing that you said was, you know, you have a platform, you are an influencer, you are supposed to be a little bit more self-aware, so please do this, and that's it. Instead, people basically called him a murderer, and you know, that's a little bit too much, don't you think? But, you know, no one is really here to have an honest discussion about it, no one. All that people want is say, oh, look, this person did this, and this. Now, get polarized then, because we are in the right. You know, the fact that you're right doesn't justify you to do whatever the fuck you want to the people who are in the wrong. Especially when the definition itself of right and wrong is not even an operational and objective one. You know, it's really fucking convenient that you get to decide what's right and wrong, and then just because you're in the right, then you can do whatever the fuck you want with these people. You know, this is a crazy world. I mean, really, best case scenario, this person is fucking ignorant, and that's it. And most of all, ignorant of the fact that you didn't prepare to own an international platform and to present yourself to an international platform. You know, this is the thing that she's most guilty of from my point of view, because she's different from people who will beat you up in the fucking street just because of your skin color, who will not give you a job because you have a specific skin color. And it's not like if what's going on with Elliot, it's really real, you know, everything about it. And we talked about it on the Discord with Fantasia when she said, if I can say this, we talked about the tweet about the black Barbies, you know, and I saw that tweet, and but I asked her first, what did you think about it? And she said it looked to me like she was complaining that nobody was buying them. And I was like, I felt exactly the same when I was reading it. I mean, it's a tweet, it's not an essay. It's not so easy to give it a meaning when you have like literally 12 words to define something. I had the same impression. So I don't know if we are naive or if we are too positive about things, but you know, it's like really different from doing other sort of things which are actively racist. Okay, it's just too much. It gets so annoying, and it's so insane, and it pushes this way of relating to each other as if people need to elevate themselves and be as virtuous as possible, because otherwise they will be attacked, they will be cancelled, and they will be whatever the fuck they're going to be. And I am thinking, where in all of this, where is the space to actually make errors and learn from them? If every time you make a wrong step and people will cancel you, and people will give you death threats, and people will compare you to other people who try to, and I cannot say that word, but let's say, you know, took away the life of other people, and you are compared to that, where is the space for you to be yourself, make your mistake, learn from them, and then fucking grow from them? You don't have it anymore, because you have to constantly push this image of perfection, this image of righteousness, because the people who are in the audience are never fucking invited to stop for a moment and think. You know, they're just told, here, this is your target, you can do whatever you want, and that's it. So, this is what I think about this situation. And this is also the reason why we rarely talk about this kind of drama situation, because to me it looks like a ton of things either exaggerated, taken out of context, or and where at the end of the day the people who are actually engaging in this kind of entertainment have everything to gain from it. They leave no educational value behind, and the people who get targeted from this will get to learn nothing from their mistakes. If anything, the only thing that they will get to learn is to always fake and being in control of everything they say, which is not an healthy message at all. So this is why I don't like to get my hands too much into this, for this exact reason. But we talked about it. Mostly from the perspective of the effect that it has on the people involved. So maybe we will talk about it again in the future, maybe in other streams, not on the main show as much as I can. Let's keep the main show about the behind the scenes, about what's going on set, about the storylines and so on. But we, in other moments, we can talk about this kind of things. If it helps in a way, if it leaves you with something to think of instead of just the feeling of having to lash against someone or having to be a specific person. You don't have to be anyone. You can aspire to be something different of what you are and do your best to get there, and that's it. Nobody expects you to mature from a day to another, even though this is the message that is constantly pushed. So let's go to another things that was sent to me via Twitter from, where is it? Oh, there we go. From Gothboy UK. So thank you for sending this. This is an interview to Ahura from RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 2. And she is complaining about getting the villain edit. You know, I didn't follow Drag Race UK Season 2, not like I follow the American version of Drag Race. So I don't have a clear idea of what has been going on because I missed a couple episodes here and there. But it appears that she received some nice death threats. I'm not laughing because she received them. I'm laughing at the ignorance of people who actually do these kind of things. And she actually called World of Wonder telling them that she regretted doing the show, because as we talked about it in the last episode, I think it was when we were having our conversation after the show, actually, that some of the producers from World of Wonder worked as producers also in the UK version of Drag Race. So they are involved. If anything, they are also the ones who hold the franchise. So she called the World of Wonder and she was pissed because of the fact that she was portrayed as a villain. And then again, this is another problem that there is with this fucking show, at least since it came into an era in which social media has become such an integral part of the success of the show. Things you could get away during season 2, season 3, season 4, you cannot get away from them anymore. And, you know, it doesn't take a genius to put a banner at the beginning of a season and simply say, this is dramatized. This is not real people. This is how we chose to tell a story based on what we wanted for this story. And that's it. So don't take that as something that you can use to form an opinion on these people. And, you know, Ahura is just another one on a long list that continues with Mimiam first. Now, this was actually sent via Discord from Fantasia, you know, and she has talked about, again, the physical threats and violence that comes from participating in the show and from getting a not so favorable edit on the show. And it's time that a change comes, and it actually should come from the top, not always from the bottom. You know, it would be a simple message, but the problem is that there is a conflict of interest here, because much of the show relies on the idea that you are seeing real people and not characters that were carefully crafted behind the scenes. You know, a lot of the appeal of the show is that you get to have an intimate connection. You get to know these people for who they are. This is what I think they believe is the most appealing part of reality television. If they come out and say, listen, this is all fake, we copy and pasted things to have them say what we want. We selectively showed you only the things that will go with our narrative. So what you end up with, even though you see these people, even though you see the words coming out of their mouth, what you end up with is not the original person anymore. It's a character. So if they come out and say things like this, they're basically destroying their biggest asset. Because people will start seeing, okay, so what am I watching Drag Race for? Because I don't get to see much of the craftiness anymore. I get to see the things that they buy if they have the money to buy it. Then they sometimes act, and all of that is cut out and mixed up. But also I don't get a real impression of who they are as people because everything is dramatized. So what's the entertainment value of it? This is a huge problem that these people at World of Wonder will have to solve. Which kind of direction they want to take for the show in the future, because people are starting to talk. People are starting to rise up and say, stop portraying these queens the way you want them to portray. Stop making them look like villains. Stop making them look like sweethearts with no emotions, like it happens to Olivia. Olivia is constantly shown like this robot. Where is the person? Why are you constantly... Yes, it's a positive portray of Olivia, I get it. But it's not real, as much as it's not real the villain edit that some people will get. So, you see, the matter is not so easy. It's actually a little bit complex, but at some point a change will have to come. Otherwise, people will simply start tuning out, because they will get tired of it. Competition will start to rise, Drag will start being portrayed in other shows as well. Maybe shows that do all the right things that RuPaul's Drag Race used to do, like show the craftiness, show the heart, show the inclusiveness that it used to be a typical feature of our community. Show all of these things. And maybe at that point, things will start to change. We'll have to see. What I can tell you is that we will just continue to follow the show, follow what happens, try to understand what goes on behind the scenes, and push an healthier ways to actually consume this kind of content, which is still good content to me, but people take it a little bit too far most of the time. So let's go to the comments a little bit. Let's remove this interview. Let's go back to this. Kylustration says, reality television across the board is causing some contestants so much emotional harm. I wonder if there comes a point in which production in general might be liable for damages the edit might cause. No, because you give that right away when you sign the contract. There is a specific clause in the contract, at least you see the one that we have, and I mean, it has to be in all of the future contracts as well, that says that you agree that you will be portrayed as the producers decide to portray you. You specifically agree to that. And all the trauma that might come from it, it's your responsibility and yours only. And then you sign it. So, sorry. So, of course they have a clause like this. Otherwise, people will come out in the future and say, listen, you caused me emotional harm because you portrayed me in a way in which I am not. You put words in my mouth in this situation when they came from a totally different situation. You made me look like an asshole, and they are right. But of course, you sign this right away. You cannot do television without signing this right away. So it's one of the most commonplace clauses that you will find in every contract for reality TV or even for normal TV. You are signing your image away. The actual legal term is likeness. You are signing your likeness away. So, Shaz7, sorry for butchering your name, says, people have been talking. The production and editing and fake storylines are not news. These people are literally signing up for it and for the airtime and for a shot at fame. Yes, I completely agree. That is part of the gig. The problem starts to arise when people get pushed so much that they reach a breaking point, that they start fearing for their life. They start fearing for their safety. They start get into a space in which they cannot interact with social media anymore because they will met but nothing than a wall that it's trying to tear them down. And this can cause a whole array of issues, psychological issues, financial issues, and so on and so forth. So I completely agree on the fact that they signed up for this. But when signing up for this means expecting this kind of consequences, then something has gone wrong. Somewhere something has gone wrong, because to have a shot of fame, you should not be pushed into fearing for your life. That's a little bit too much. I get it. I sign away my likeness because I can expect to start earning the best part of $1 million next year just because I participated in this show. Okay, I get it. There are risks with it. But, one thing is being met with a negative reaction. People that don't like you, people that don't follow you, people that come and write you on Twitter, I didn't like this part of you, I'm not interested. Things like normal things. Another thing is to be targeted. Another thing is the harassment. Another thing is contacting Candy's mother because you didn't like how Candy appeared on television based on the executive decision of World of Wonder. I mean, it's not even Candy that decided the way she was going to be portrayed. I mean, this is you reach a point in which you cannot push they signed up for this kind of narrative. You cannot push it anymore because it's really gotten to an extreme point that people should not even be able to sign up for this kind of thing. The same way people are not allowed to sign up their I knew the term for this. I don't get it. It doesn't come right now to my mind. But you are not allowed to sign up your freedom, for example. You cannot legally sign a contract so that you agree to be someone's slave. You cannot give away that right. So I think we are starting to get in a very similar situation. And it's going to be interesting to see how this evolves. I will keep an eye on this, but I will also keep continuing spreading the message of enjoy the show for what it is. When it's over, don't judge these people at all. Get to know them outside, get a feeling of them, follow them on social media. If you, hopefully in the future, if you can get to actually meet them in real life, see one of their shows, see their actual talent, and you get an idea from that. And that's it. Watch this fucking show the same way you would watch a movie, the same way you would watch a series. Have your life for that 1 hour, get sucked in the narratives, get sucked in the show, and really suspend your disbelief and enjoy it. But when that hour is over, it's over. What these people are outside, it's something different. So I think it's really important that we keep spreading this message, because if nothing is going to happen from the top, from World of Wonder, from VH1, then it has to happen from the bottom. And this is really the best that you can do. Felicia said, is it the favored nation clause? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. No, inalienable rights. This is what I was talking about. This is the word that I was looking for. Rights that you can simply not sign away anymore. And I think that probably in the future, I hope we'll start to get some laws that will restrict how much of your public image you can give away. You know, because right now you can give away all of it. Maybe in the future we will get something that will take the balance a little bit. Not that it is forbidden to give away your likeness, otherwise we won't have any kind of media anymore, but at least a little bit to restore the balance and say, yes, you can sign away your likeness, but for example, you have the right to say no to some specific things that you can agree with whatever company you're signing with in the beginning. You have a saying into the final product. How much of a saying? Well, that can be decided and agreed upon, but you have a little bit of a saying, you know? Having things like this, because in an era of human evolution in which we have the internet, and the internet never forgets. And the internet has the power to end everything about you just like this. And that will never be forgotten. We had legislation passed on the European Union calling it the right to oblivion, to remove search results from things that happened in your far past that maybe you already paid the price for it. You evolved from it, you've grown up from it, you went somewhere else, started a new life, and then these things keep coming back and coming back and coming back. Because the internet never forgets. So we're starting to have already this kind of legislation. I think that in the far future, something like this is going to happen for the way you sign away your likeness. Plain and simple. Because you cannot have people like Jeremy, the person behind the drag queen that was known as Fifi O'Hara. that after 10 years still get insults for the way he was portrayed on television 10 years before. And he was the way he was. He was trigger happy in a way. It get triggered really easily. He talked too much. He talked a lot of shit, was a little bit shady, whatever you want. It was 10 years ago. You cannot stand there and do nothing while after 10 years people get constantly harassed, especially if being online is your business. For a normal person, you can say, you know what, just disconnect from the internet. It's easy, just disconnect. But what if being on the internet is your job? Because especially right now when we are all in lockdown, this is even more, it's felt even more, because not only having an online presence is an essential part of your job, it becomes all of your job. You have digital shows, you have queens coming to YouTube, you have queens coming to Twitch. You have so much things that revolve around being interconnected through the internet. So I hope that something will be done. So I would say let's take a little bit of a pause. Let's have a cigarette. Let's listen to some music, go to the toilet, whatever it is. And if you have any kind of question, we can have a little bit of a back and forth in after the pause. Why not? So let's set up where is it? There it is. Cigarette pause and a little bit of music. There we go.
Always great music.
I'm asking questions time and time again in a race that never, ever ends. Hanging from my limbs in this swaying breeze. I'm hoping and I gotta let it go.
Okay, here we are back. Let's set up the right background. There we go. Okay. It's nice. Nice cigarette always helps. Okay, let's go to the comments in a moment. Let me have a little bit of my drink and we're ready. Okay. Valentine says, Jeremy deserved better. Big Brother USA has the same problem as RuPaul's Drag Race. Well, Jeremy definitely deserved better. You know, he still appears in drag, but I almost never see any picture of him in drag on Twitter, which is basically the only social media that I use. I use it for the channel. So at some point I wrote him and I said, you know, it's kind of regretful that we don't get to see you in drag anymore. And it was like, no, I still do drag, but I do it on Twitch with my followers. So I actually made a Twitch account to go see the bitch in drag, she's amazing in drag. But yes, you see what I mean. These kind of things follow you for a little bit too long. So either we will get a kind of change from the top, or we will need a kind of change from the bottom, especially from the educational side of things. I would actually like to see a little bit of managing social media presence, managing interaction with technology being taught in school, the same way we get taught about history, about math, about informatics, all of these things, because people are simply too unprepared to the unwanted consequences of going online to a whole plethora of platforms that basically close you in a bubble, because closing you in a bubble guarantees the most engagement and the most exposure to advertisement for the company. And then you have all of these unwanted consequences. There is a very good documentary that I think I would like to suggest it for the viewer of the channel, but I cannot seem to recall the name of it. Wait a moment, I'll try to find it for a moment. The Social Dilemma. It's available on Netflix. I think if you have 1 hour of free time, it's actually 1 hour and a half, watch it. It's a very good documentary, and it's very well done. A little bit, how can I say, a little bit too dramatized. It's a little bit dramatized, but it sends the message across. Which is a kind of message that should be really taught in school at this point, because you cannot simply end up with grown-up people in their 20s, I hope, and not older, that then go online and create all of this sort of situation that we talked about before, and that always result in entertainers paying the price for it. It's a really good watch. If you have some free time and you want to watch something that it's not strictly Drag Race related, it's a very good documentary. So I suggest you watch it. Moving on, Felicia, no cigarette. I have to go make a cigarette run. Or you can vape. I also have a vape cigarette. I call it an electronic cigarette. It helps. At some point I managed to quit smoking because of it, but I picked up again. But it helps. It helps reducing. Diogo says, here on Big Brother, we have the biggest percentage of rejection, and I think it's beautiful. You mean rejection of the show? I mean, Big Brother has been going on for a long time. It actually made history of reality television. It was back when they kind of didn't really know what they were doing at the time. You know, they were trying to be as real as possible in our nation, we would get like a ton of special episodes of Big Brother during the week to follow everything that's been going around. They didn't really crack the code at the beginning of Big Brother, if you know what I mean. They didn't really know how to make reality television, how to condense everything into storylines, and how to make these storylines actually effective and engaging for the viewer. So in a way, watching the evolution of reality television, it's also an interesting topic in and of itself. Dixie says, I'm a horrible human being for finding comfort that other people are still smoking too. No, you're not. No, you're not. At all. I mean, smoking, it's terrible. It's terrible to get out of it. God knows how many times I tried, and even when I had a success, like quit for 2 or 3 months, inevitably something happens and go back to the damn cigarette. The best thing is not to start at all. Kylustration says, the current season has so many challenges tied to the queens recording music, or is it just me? Feels like they really want those Spotify streams. I don't know what is with queens and music, because a ton of queens release a ton of songs that yeah, you can listen to it, but it's not really like they cannot really sing. You have like 5% of the queens on Drag Race that can actually hold a note, and should actually, well, I cannot say should actually make music, but they actually have to offer something vocally in a song, if you know what I mean. So you have a ton of queens that don't write their songs, cannot really sing, cannot really make music, and everyone comes out with songs because songs will grant you visibility, will grant you will expand your platform, but then you have like outliers, like Adore Delano, for example. You can like or dislike Adore Delano's music, but at least she can sing. At least she writes her own lyrics. You know what I mean? I'm not so much into drag music, especially the drag music that comes out of Drag Race. Except for season 5, the Can I Get an Amen? That I really liked. Kayu Kamada says, oh fuck, I'm very late. Don't worry. Don't worry, you made it. It's as good as it is. Jeffrey says, am I the only one who enjoyed the C episode? No, I enjoyed it as well. A ton of other people actually enjoyed it. It depends on which kind of and the way, what are your expectations when you watch it. If you expect another episode of Drag Race, then it's not another episode of Drag Race. It's more behind the scene. It's more the making of. But I enjoyed it nonetheless. Diogo says, watched some minutes of the episode, then I get bothered. Bored. Then you got bored and stopped watching. That it's okay, If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, tune it to something that you enjoy it. You should not force yourself to watch things that you're not interested in. Unless it has some sort of educational value that you are curious about, then in that manner you can say, okay, I'm not really enjoying this, but let me get to the end so that I get an idea of what they actually want to tell me. That is the only exception. If it's entertainment and it's not entertaining, then move to something else. Coffee says, I've been vaping instead of smoking cigarettes for a few years. Still feels like eating cabbage when I want a burger. Yes, I know the feeling. But in a way, it's also good that gives you a different feeling, because for me, it helps a lot. For example, the fact that I hold the electronic cigarette in a different way from the way I hold an actual cigarette. Because if it would feel in my hand like a cigarette, then I would be constantly thinking of the cigarette, because it's the same exact gesture. The fact that it's a different gesture, it actually helps me kind of forget the sensation of having a cigarette. So for me, it helps. It's just that I'm not applying myself very much, because I have been successful with it. Coffee says, YouTube bans the C word. No, it doesn't really ban it, but for 1 year, since this whole situation started, whenever people had videos talking about this, whenever the algorithm will pick up some specific words during a video or a live stream, a lot of people had a ton of problems because of it. Some people received community strikes, and if you get 3 of those, you lose the channel. You cannot come on YouTube anymore. I don't think you can even have a YouTube account anymore. So it's kind of a serious matter. A lot of people had their videos shut down. A lot of people had their video forcibly privated. So, you know, even though we are not here to push fake things, it's just that it's happening. It's something we're all living on. You know, the algorithm is not a person. The algorithm is stupid. So we all know what is the subject of this episode of Drag Race that just aired. We just, you know, for safety of the channel, we just don't say the word. And that's it. I know, but what can you do? Valentine says, I use those mock pens, vape pens. They aren't that strong, though. It depends on the kind of nicotine that you put inside. Oh, Diogo says, rejection in a person. Carol Conca is actually the biggest villain of the Big Brother in all the world. She left the reality show with 99.17% of the votes. Oh, for sending her out. I don't know. I haven't been following Big Brother in like a decade. Probably more. And Nightmare Truebaiter. I smoke some W every day. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. I get my kick from energy drinks, but you know, whatever gives you the kick that you want. You're free to do whatever you want. Diogo says, which kind of sucks because her music is so good. Talking about Adore, probably. Dixie says they're now putting out more videos to make money. Lost by the C word. They always did, but it's escalated. What does it mean? I lost the chat again. Jessica, I love all the music from the show, even the slow version of Super Queen. Well, for me, it's just too auto-tuned. I don't know, maybe it's something with age. I am not into pop music that much anymore. You know, it's like I want a little bit more. I'm starting to actually get more and more into classical music. I still enjoy a pop tune from time to time, like the same way I enjoy getting a takeaway dinner, you know? But it's more something like, it's more an exception than the rule, especially because I hate autotune. Whenever I feel autotune, and if you train your ear to actually hear natural voice, natural singing, then you start hearing autotune everywhere. It's just a sequence of perfect notes, one after the other. You actually lose the character of the singer when everything is autotuned so much. So I'm not just talking about the obvious distortion that you get from autotune. I'm talking like the color of the voice, you know, those tiny imperfections going from note to note that tell more of the character of the singer. I miss that. That's why, you know, pop music is not making the cut anymore, especially drag music. Since Lucian Piani was sent away, rightfully so because of the shit that he said, but he was a damn good music writer, and it's been difficult to find a replacement. I mean, this last Rusical was... Valentine said, in the Snatch game happening later than usual, is the Snatch game happening later than usual, or is it just those 2 premieres that make it feel so long? It actually used to come by episode 5, if I'm not mistaken, episode 4 or episode 5. But lately, yes, they kind of pushed it a little bit more to the later episodes. It happened the same last season, but I think it's no later than episode 6 usually. But then if you have 2 premieres, then it becomes episode 7, and then if you have like 3 premieres like we had this year, plus this episode right now, it's going to be like episode 9. That's why you get a Snatch game by episode 9. We should probably count the competitive episodes. So even though next episode it's going to be episode 9 or episode 10 already. I think I lost count. Wait a moment. Next episode is going to be episode 9. So if you take away the 2 premieres, it's going to be like the 3 premiere. It's going to be like episode 7. So yeah, it was pushed back a little bit. Daniel Harris says, I read somewhere that they're trying to buy time for the finale because of what's going on in the world. I don't think it's really reasonable. Because this kind of time slots on television are bought and scheduled like months ahead, like 6 months, 9 months, probably even more, maybe even a year. So they could have just stopped the race for the 2 weeks necessarily for the finale and then do the finale. What I think is that someone said before that they probably wanted to stretch the season for earning as much money as possible from it, because the show is still successful. Not as much as it used to be, like in season 9 or in All Stars 2, but it's still successful in its niche. So I think they're kind of trying to drag it along. We will see. By the end of this season, we will probably get a more probable option, but we will see. Valentine says, the Snatch game happening later than usual. Oh, I just read it, sorry. Melanie, Snatch game is next episode. Yes, episode 9. Rose TDQ says, I'm late, so there wasn't any episode this week. Does anyone know why? Oh, yes, we just talked about. They are probably trying to stretch the season. Oh, good God. Where am I? Beatrice, I saw suggestions in the chat for the Bussy Queens video about Nina and Elliot. I really didn't like that video. In my opinion, it wasn't informative. It just tried to prove a point. I discussed it on Discord at length. What has been going on there. I didn't like them as well, mostly because there was a narrative behind it. The videos are not there anymore, but I watched them, and I can assure you that there was clever musical choices in the background to set the mood. And watching it from the perspective of someone that watches Drag Race and notices shady noises and notices background music and notices when 2 sentences are patched together, that was not done by, it just didn't happen by itself. It was a choice, But, I'm not here to talk trash about a colleague here on YouTube. After all, Bussy removed the video, so those 2 videos, so good for her. Coffee says, wait, so Jeffrey S. can post whatever, but YouTube is banning people for talking about what caused the lockdown? Rude. Well, one thing is having 10 plus million subscribers and bringing literally millions to YouTube every month, and another thing is being a small creator. This is how it is. the more money you bring in, the higher the possibility that you get to talk to a real person and get your problem solved. Your algorithm mistake solved. But, you know, there are people out there like making videos debunking conspiracies about it, and they get community strikes. There are doctors talking about it, but since they weren't approved by YouTube, they get their video pulled down. You know, I just don't want to run any risks, because we have had enough problems with YouTube in the past. We can still get to talk about it, but we just have to be a little bit more careful about it. Felicia, I smoke three cigarettes a day. Sunday is my favorite day to smoke because I'm here with you all. And you smoke an organic tobacco. Let's not give them publicity. Okay. Dixie, the algorithm is stupid. Amen. Yes, especially when they implement it without testing it. They actually do the testing on the field. It was, you know, when this thing with the Rona came out, it really wreaked havoc. It was terrible. Diogo says to Beatrice, the horror soundtracks when Nina or Elliot say something is so funny. I felt it felt like the Exorcist remake. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. You know, I'm not here to say what people should do or should not do with their platform. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. And I'm not even here to push how people should relate to some situation. I'm just going to judge you by what I see, and that's it. And I'm not even giving my direct feedback. I'm giving my feedback on my platform just to talk about it, and that's it. Because you know how I feel about going to someone who has a platform and give a feedback when it wasn't even asked for. But yeah, you get the gist. I was left with the impression that it was done for clout. She'd said all the right thing, but by the end of the video, you are basically left with a message. This person did wrong, and nothing else. Nothing else. So yes, I didn't like it, you know. But as I said before, have you seen over the years you have seen the growth that Jake had on YouTube by making drama videos? It's a lot of money. It's something that it's pushed really hard on the algorithm. It's something that will bring you clout. It's something that will bring you money. So everybody is, one way or the other, everybody is trying to get into Jake's gig. So what can you do? I mean, by the end of the day, you can talk about this kind of things, but there is way and way of talking about this kind of things. So, you know, if I am left without learning anything and feeling polarized, then I don't think that's good content, and that's it. I don't care how many views you get from it. It doesn't help anyone. Dixie, the problem with Drag Race music is RuPaul's voice. Well, RuPaul is 60. She is no Aretha Franklin. Mind you, because she can sing very well into her latest days. But, yeah, well, RuPaul is all out at you, come on. Felicia, I have 7 grandchildren. Grandchildren still can get into jazz. Classical is okay. Give me the Doors, Hendrix, and Donna Summers. Damn, 7 grandchildren. My God. Good for you. Good for you. Diogo says, RuPaul's song lyric is so good. When she says, don't be jealous of my boogie and fly, fly, fly. It's so deep, I felt that. Well, it's pop music. In defense of RuPaul, it's pop music. It's not supposed to really leave you with anything. It's just supposed to take your mind off things for 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes, top. Sasha, what's the tea with Lucian? Well, it was from years ago. It was, I think, 5 years ago, something like that. 4 or 5 years ago. basically is said a ton of things pro Trump on social media, and later blamed it on the fact that it was high on weed, which was perceived even worse, because you're basically saying that this substance will put words in your mouth. So, in a time and age in which people are actually trying to make it legal in many different states in the United States, in which a lot of evidence is starting to come forward for the possible medicinal effects of CBD, for example. A lot of people took it like you cannot blame it on the fact that you are high. You can be as high as you want, but whatever comes to out of your mouth, it's something that at least you've been thinking it. At least one voice in your head was thinking it. Then maybe there was a more rational one, but you cannot simply blame it on, oh wait, I was high, that's why I said those things. And at some point it stopped work for Drag Race. Felicia, we are getting a watered down version of the first 5 seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race. Yes, that's my impression as well. I would prefer less episode and more with more substance. We're also getting longer episode. Drag Race used to be 40 minutes. Now it's 1 hour. Plus Untucked. Well, Untucked has always been 20 minutes, but we went from 40 to 1 hour. It's a lot of time not to be shown the craftiness of the queens. Okay, Rossi says, I missed the creative main challenge from the earlier seasons, like the wrestling ones. I missed them too. What I missed the most is the fact that we don't get to see them making dresses, like in detail. That is that is like magic to me. When I see them create things, it's actual magic. Or when they get to create things for themselves, like when they used to make commercials, fake commercials. They would just get a pitch and they had to run with it. Now, like you remember the perfume back in season 5 or in season 4 when they had to create a cover for a magazine, or in season 2 when they had to create a fake book, where they have all of this freedom to just be themselves, be creative. That I enjoyed it very much. But you are also missing one point. The more creative you are asking them to be, the less power you have on the narrative. Because you cannot really decide who is going to be creative and win and who is not going to be creative and lose. So everything is really strict. It's like you have these huge walls on the side and only one possible way, and you have to follow that. Fantasia says, Sasha, yes, that happened to Lucian. Illustration, yes, challenges where the queens get to apply their strength, whatever those might be, would be nice. The challenges I like the least are the athletic challenges, though. Actually, the challenges that I really don't enjoy lately are the acting ones. I really don't enjoy them. I would enjoy them more if they were not so much manipulated. I would enjoy them. I would enjoy them if we had more clever scripts, more human scripts, quality scripts. Then I would enjoy it much more. But it's constantly, if you noticed it, the amount of acting challenges has become so high in the newest season of Drag Race. It's just that it's so easy to manipulate them. But it's almost like 80% of the seasons now, it's now some sort of acting challenge. It's either improv, it's either the snatch game, but that has always been there, or it's a proper acting challenges, something where they are given a script, probably even given a role, probably already set to win or to fail. It's just not enjoying it. Not enjoying it anymore. Insulin Dependent Skank says, Laughing my ass off. Weed makes me hate Trump even more. So I don't know if Lucian was smoking weed. He was doing something else. Maybe K2. Yeah. Well, I don't know what the matter was with him. The only thing that I can say is that apart from all of this, he was a very good music writer. He really brought something unique to the show, and I see them struggling to actually find a good replacement for him. If you notice, season by season, there's always somebody different writing musicals, writing music. It's never the same person anymore. Fantasia says they just made it legal here in VA for recreational use, and they're going to start selling it in 2024. What is VA? Virginia? Virginia? Yeah, it must be Virginia. I hope it's Virginia. Well, you can tell me. That's really good. That's really good because, you know, the point is you have alcohol freely available. And it's a much heavier drugs. It's much more addictive with, and it's so much heavier on your body. So, you know, I'm like, how can you ban this kind of things and then have 2,000 different kinds of alcohol sold to everybody? It's just crazy to me. It's just crazy. Of course, it's an historic thing, you know. Alcohol was probably the first drug we've ever found as a society and produced. So, but it's crazy. It's crazy. Fantasia said, you need tablets so you can go on stereo because a lot of queens have been going live and actually answers questions from real people. But of course, I had no juicy questions. Yes, you know, I have an emulator of. I actually have an emulator of a smartphone, that I can download apps on it. I just never use it because it's so hard on resources. But I doubt they would answer my questions because my questions would be like, okay, how long is the exclusivity period with World of Wonder? It would be questions like this, and I can tell you, nobody would like questions asked from me at all. Dixie, I lived for the wet shirt contest in season 4. Yes, I liked it as well with those fake breasts. Lena says, I'd love if every season had a talent show for the first episode like All Stars did last season. It lets the queens choose what they think shows their best drag and perform the way they do best. Yes and no. I enjoy it on All Stars because it kind of makes sense. Because after doing Drag Race, all of these queens kind of build up their brand. They get known for something, usually something really specific, and they want to bring that during the first episode of All Stars, which I kind of agree with. I really liked the sewing challenge at the very beginning of Drag Race. I thought it was like the quintessential drag thing. Make your own dress and show me your creativeness. I really enjoyed that. Groover Horner says, can we appreciate we got a little bit more of Tamisha in that special? I appreciate her every week on her YouTube channel. She's making the virtual drag battle. Actually, I managed to catch her live this week. Coffee was there. And Eddie as well. So yes, of course, I appreciate it if she gets exposure from the show, but you know, she is here on YouTube. She is doing something really nice. Fantasia are spilling tea from their personal thought because they are talking about. Are spilling tea from their personal thoughts because they are talking to their friends. I don't know what you're talking about. Melanie, I used to enjoy the silly mini challenges like in season 3 when they played Dunk the Queen. It was stupid and let the Queen blow some steam. I love the mini challenges. I really love them. When they were so idiotic, like lay an egg, do a wet shirt contest, or undress the enhanced pit crew to see how many points they have on their Andrew Christian underwear, things like this. I really enjoyed them. But, mini challenge also introduces an element of surprise, because then, okay, you have a mini challenge, but then you win. What do you win? You used to win a kind of advantage in the competition. You cannot have that anymore. It's less control for World of Wonder. And as you know, they don't like only some of the power, they like all of the power. Groover Horner says, I don't understand how alcohol is seen as something better than weed. Yes, it's really ignorant, because all of the evidence points in the actual opposite direction. Dixie, did anyone else see the version of last week's Rusical that Drag Race released? Not a drop of perspiration on Candy. No, I didn't see it. Let me take a note on that, because I want to check it out. And save. Okay. Groover Horner says, did you know about the live where Denali, Rosé, and Mick talked about having a threesome? You are not joking about their affair in the Swatsicle episode. Oh my god. No, I didn't know about that. I mean, mine was a joke. Mine was just a joke. It was all the theme for the episode because everybody was so sweaty. My god. Coffee. Yes, I loved seeing you there. Yes, you're always there. I see you. Even when I go watched Tamisha Iman virtual drag battle, she always leaves the chat there and you're always there. Well, good for you. In here, when she comes on live, it's like 2 a.m. Once I can make it just to be there, because people really went wild when this people from the audience actually get to be on the live and perform and have fun. It's so much fun to actually be there, but it's just too late for me. It can happen once, but I will usually watch it later on. Groover, I live for her shows. I also see you in chat sometimes. Yes, sometimes. Beatrice, how high was Jasmine? Is it the Tamisha show? Yes, they were hilarious. A lot of people kind of complained about the fact that Jasmine was not in drag, but where is the point? I mean, who cares about it? It's still Jasmine, It's still, and they have a very tight back and forth, the two of them. They're actually hilarious together. They should have a show like they do on World of Wonder, but have it on their own. They actually get all of the coins from it and make a show together. It would be great. Coffee, I keep commenting on other queens' pages to guest judge on Tamisha's drag battle. Oh, that would be nice. But then again, Mama has the right to choose. So, I don't know. Maybe as guests, it would be nice. But then you have to see, in the actual, how do they actually relate to each other, Because maybe some would just say, okay, let's do something together and that's it. Like probably Jasmine does. But other might say, okay, how much are you going to give me for, appearing there, taking the time? So, I don't know. Jack, I missed the stream, though I suppose I did also miss the C special. Don't worry. We've been just chilling. We talked a little bit of different things, but nothing too much related to a proper review. It's just a chill out. We are chilling this week. Groover, the best part of Tamisha's drag show is obviously Tamisha and her co-hosts, the computer and Miss Chanel. I actually made, in honor of that, I made on Twitter. Yes, on Twitter. I took a screenshot for one of my favorite shows, which was Star Trek: The Next Generation, and and Photoshop Tamisha's face on Counselor Troy's body. As if she was talking to the computer. Yes, the computer is hilarious. I still don't know if it's a kind of artificial intelligence or if it's a person acting as the computer. I don't think so. But the computer is one of the best part of that show. I completely agree. Tina Hansen says, what even was the C special? What a waste of time. Okay, Tina didn't like it. I kind of enjoyed it. But, you know, I have weird tastes. And if you're comfortable, if not comfortable... if you have followed the show that we did in here, you totally got the fact that I have weird tastes. Fantasia, you type so fast. We can hear every key. Yes, this keyboard is so fucking loud. It's so fucking loud. Coffee, literally, I'm always there and I'm always here. Yes, I see you everywhere. And continues, World of Wonder should really adopt Tamisha's show. It's so amazing seeing performers of all of this genre and these different points in their career. Well, I don't know if they should really sell Tamisha's virtual drag battle to World of Wonder. I think they can, you know, they would get more views if they go on World of Wonder. That is for sure. But then they would probably lose control of a lot of it. Because right now, Tamisha is independent in whatever she wants to do for her show. The moment you start getting on their channel, they will definitely get a saying on what you do, how you do it, which kind of schedule you adopt. You know, if you can be independent, it's like on YouTube when you are part of a network. If you can be independent, it's always better for you. Groover says, Bob would guest judge for free. Yeah, it would be nice to see Bob. It would be really nice. Especially if he runs his mouth. That's the best part. Dixie, I find that typing sound to be comforting. I used to be a typist. If anyone doesn't know what that is, ask Matt to explain. I don't know. I'm ignorant on the matter. I think maybe you took down notes for a job as a secretary, or maybe like they do in the law play. Oh my God, my broken English. How is it called? Well, I don't get the name. I don't get the name. I'm so surprised, Coffee. I'm so surprised Bob hasn't been on the show yet. Like, she's head of the Temfem Stamp Club. He hasn't been on the show because I haven't seen the latest episode of the virtual drag battle, so I don't know. But if they're on good terms, then why not? Why not? Oh, and Fantasia, I don't know if many of you know this, but before the drag battle actually happened, Fantasia, who is also a supporter on Patreon, who is also a moderator on the channel, who is also the admin of the Discord, Fantasia, that bitch, managed to talk to Tamisha, like live, like via voice. She called in, and they had a chit-chat for like 10 minutes. I hated you so much. So much. It was so nice. It was so cute, you know. She's really down to earth. She's really, really down to earth. It's incredible. Groover says, yeah, it's a bit weird, but there are plenty of shows left. Bob has time. Plenty of shows left? Oh, if Bob has time. You know, in this day and age, a ton of queens are creating online content. Usually in the form of podcasts or reviews for the show. So they look like each and every one of them is really, really getting busy. Groover, I love the computer, but it's so smart it's a bit scary. Yeah, I love the computer as well. It's so funny. It's such a funny bit. They should definitely take it to the next level. Fantasia, WoW should stay away so it can be a beautiful mess. Talking about Tamisha's Drag Race. Yes, Tamisha's Drag Race. You see what happens when you don't think about things because you say what you're really thinking. You know, I've been thinking about Tamisha's Drag Race for a long time. No, it's Tamisha's virtual drag battle. Dixie, Trinity had a drag battle as well. I didn't know that, but then again, Trinity is no Tamisha, so Fantasia, Trinity battle was really nice to see. Oh, I didn't see. I didn't even know it existed. You see how disconnected I am? Victoria, wait, y'all. Is it an actual computer or is it a human assistant? Because it's really smart. That is the question. That is the question, because depending on which kind of interface you're using, they're getting really, really smart. So I don't know, because it's usual natural language interfaces. So I don't know, but I think it could be either way. I'm more leaning toward a real person because it's simply too smart. Simply too smart. But I'm not excluding the possibility. Fantasia, yes, Miss Iman. Yeah, I love the computer. I love the computer. Groover says, excuse me, what I wish that was me. Yeah, I wish as well. You know, one time she actually had the wrong number on screen. So a ton of people were calling and she wasn't getting any call until somebody called in and says, yes, from your area, I know that you put a wrong digit in there. This is the right number. Insulin Dependent says, I always call and it's so busy. Yeah, it's probably impossible to take the line, especially if you're calling from the other side of the ocean. I'm not even trying. Dixie, I used the typewriter in my first job. No computers then. Kids, Google typewriter. Come on, you're not that old. Come on. Fantasia. Wow, what a shout out. Yes. Yes. Well, you help a lot, so, you know, that's the very least. Groover, I want to edit Tamisha's drag show after the live is over and over-dramatize it like Drag Race. I can use my editing skill from something good. Oh, that would be cute. That would be cute. The problem is, how will Tamisha react to that? Because let's not forget, when you do parodies kind of things, especially if they're very subtle, like what you're doing is actually using music and noises to change the feeling of something, if it's a very subtle kind of fair use, you may get into actual trouble. But I think Tamisha is cool. I think Tamisha wouldn't have anything against it, you know, especially if you did a very good job. And if YouTube finds something automatically, you can simply, you know, write live, send her a tweet or something. I think she would be really cool about it. Coffee, Mother Tamisha needs technical assistance. Does she? She's doing well with the computer. Fantasia, I'm trying to learn some editing skills. I know. If anybody knows a very easy editing software, possibly a free one, you know, something that it's really user-friendly, especially if you're a newbie, you don't really know how to edit, you've never done it before, because Fantasia asked me and I actually said, well, I use Blender, which is the last thing you should start with, because it gets overwhelming like really quick, like really, really quick. So if you have any suggestion, write it on Fantasia, write it on the Discord. There are other people who would like to get into editing, would like to develop their own ideas. So if you have any kind of suggestion, especially for free software, because we are all broke, we're all broke, then please leave a suggestion in the Discord so that everybody can see it. Coffee says she literally asks people to apply. Please do. She needs help. Yeah, she also invites the contestants who lost. She invites them back, which is really nice. It's really, really nice. Coffee. Oh my God, Fantasia, you have to work with her. Well, that would mean that I would be 1 degree away from working with Tamisha. That could be interesting. Groover, I wouldn't make anyone look bad. I'm not World of Wonder. Oh yes, it takes actual effort to look that bad from World of Wonder. Well, it's also their job. Let's not be too hard on them. Especially on the editors, you know. They do what they do, but they do it because that's how they pay their bills. It's not like they do it out of malice. Come out and say, oh, I don't like this queen, I'm going to portray them this way, you know. They they are told how to portray someone, and their job is find the best way to leave that impression on you. You know, if you watch the interview with the editor, you immediately get what's going on. They are told to tell a specific story, and then they have to cut and paste and find everything they can find to tell a specific story. But, you know, it's always a decision that comes from above. It's still it kind of gives me the chill, the complexity of the work that gets behind it to actually portray someone in a specific way. It's like, it's so elaborate, so complex in a way that it kind of leaves you with this eerie feeling like, oh shit, if you can do that, then I shouldn't trust anything at all. Coffee, but keep the bedroom candy commercials and oil commercials. I think I lost something there. I'm falling asleep tonight. Felicia, I learned to type on a manual typewriter. Ancient history lesson. Coffee, if you're here, you're gonna tell the whole story. The whole story of what? What did I miss? What did I miss? Groover, I asked her if I could edit and help with some things on her site and other things like that, but she hasn't responded. Oh, you're talking about Tamisha. I would do anything for Miss Iman. Well, who wouldn't? You must be out of your mind to think otherwise. Coffee. The Fantasia should infiltrate. Fantasia, I was listening and she said that she has a team on the way, but maybe you should edit her commercial and tag her in it. She might see it there. Well, if she sees, I realize she retweeted my tweet, for example. So if she sees something creative that you do and she likes it, she appreciates it, she will spread it, because, you know, mine was just a Photoshop image from, you know, whatever I felt like it. I've finished watching one of her live shows and the computer was there, the wheel was rolling, and I thought, you know, I'll make this thing. It's funny. I don't care if 2 people will see it. But I tagged her and she actually spread it around. So yes, do it. Absolutely. If it's a nice thing, I'm sure she will spread it around, because that's what she's been saying, and that's what I've seen since I actually got to know her. You know, the fact that she has this kind of show on YouTube actually says it all. I don't know how many queens we actually saw who used their platform to give a platform to commoners like us, you know, common people, nobodies. Well, maybe not like me, I have the channel, but you know what I mean. Coffee, the rightful producers and editors of Drag Race are in this chat, are they? I hope not. Candybox, when you say a manual typewriter is ancient, how old is that? Well, computer really became cheap for everybody during the late 90s, early 2000, probably more early 2000. So she's probably talking about the 80s, 90s. Coffee, Tamisha's commercials are one of a kind. Yes, and also a source of income. That's really good because here on YouTube, if you don't have a sponsor, you earn very, very little. You have to pull like millions of views to actually get enough to live on it. You know, after you paid your taxes on it, we are left with very, very little. What was it? We talked about it on the Discord. We calculated that we get, for doing the chop, we get like after taxes. Well, before taxes, it's about $50 a month. After taxes, it's $25 for 30 hours a week. So 25 divided by 120. I need a calculator. I cannot do by hand. Let's have fun with it. 25 over 120. It's about 20 cents an hour. So you have to have, a huge number of views. We actually get the vast majority of the income we get from this channel comes from not doing the chop, and those are videos. It's like the only one that's actually monetized by us and not anybody else. But the point is, even you bring it million of views, or you gotta get a sponsor. So it's really good that she has commercials, and they are also funny to watch. They are very amateur in a way. Very, they're cute. They're cute. Fantasia, bedroom candy is S toys. Oh, it's like Adam and Eve. It's like that. Okay. I get it. Thank you. Groover, I will make a commercial for her and I'll try to tag it. That's nice. If it's fun, we will also give you some publicity. Don't worry. Candy box. Bedroom candy is a quality product. I don't know. I never tried it. Groover, I've been following the contestants from the show. Tamisha is so nice for giving out her platform. Oh, yes. Denali did something similar, not at the same level, because Tamisha did it with, everyday people. But Denali made a video for a song. It was called Chicago Drag Royalty, I think. And she brought in a ton of queens from Chicago. She shared her platform with other queens. What Tamisha is doing is actually sharing her platform with people who maybe don't even know that maybe in the future they will have a career in drag. That's why it's enticing in a way, because it's like, listen, you always thought you wanted to do this. You dreamed of doing it, but you have never actually done it. Then come, do this thing. See where it brings you. Why not? But even if you do it professionally, come anyway. Let's have some fun. That's really nice. That's really nice. Felicia, she was talking about the 60s and 70s. My God, that's so far away. Oh my God. That's so far away. We are old. Fantasia says, I meant to ask you about all the damn commercial for the Chop episodes you have been putting out. Do you place them in there or on YouTube? Oh, you mean the advertisement? Yeah, I've been misusing words. A sponsor is somebody that from the outside of YouTube that simply pays you to advertise outside of YouTube, and you implement that in the video. If you have commercial pauses that come from YouTube, that is what I mean. That is what I mean when I talk about ad revenue from YouTube. It's YouTube that actually puts the ad there. So they are not in the video itself. They are put on by YouTube. You know, you can do it either automatically or you can go manually on the video and says, okay, if there is any ads available, then please put an ad here in this moment in the video. Then if during the auctions that YouTube does, there is ads available in that specific moment, then people will be served an ad. Otherwise, they won't see anything. The video will simply move forward, you know. Groover, I love Tamisha and Denali. They've become my favorite queen. Mine as well. And it's not bad that Denali, you know, on Drag Race, when they fail to recognize your talent, that kind of puts you in a position where people are more willing to help raising you. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I talked about it a ton of time. I will continue to repeat it. Denali is winning the game. She is losing Drag Race, but she is winning the game. Coffee, I hope Tamisha makes an appearance on Real Housewives of Atlanta with Candy Burrs, since she's running the bedroom candy commercial. Maybe it will happen. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm going to say yes to that. Oh, bedroom candy. Yes, the commercial thing. Got it. Felicia, bedroom candy. Does that belong to Candy Burruss from Real Housewives of Atlanta? I have no idea what... I never watched this Real Housewife thing. I know that it's something popular in the U.S., but I never watched it. Oh, Fantasia. Tamisha is sharing her platform with anybody. I have joined the group and it's little kids dancing around in there. I have been enjoying watching the normal people perform. Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Me too. It's nice. It's cute, you know. It's that freedom of being stupid without thinking about people laughing at you. It's like... live your life, do your thing, have the time of your life and enjoy it. Oh, Candy Box says, Candy Burruss is the head. There are women who sell it to parties of women and online natch. Are we still talking about toys? I'm not following. My God, tonight. You see what happens when... I didn't prepare properly. It's 1:15 and I'm falling asleep already. We usually go until 3 without any problem. And I'm already burned out. Groover, Denali is definitely winning the game. She is the second most liked queen. She is after Simone, according to some polls. You spelled polls as polls, like P-O-L-E-S. Groover, what are you thinking? Coffee, she is in the second commercial for the body chocolate, but the commercials looks very old. Melanie, I've never watched any Housewives show or Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Me neither. I don't know if it's what kind of show it is. I don't care. I don't care at all. The only reality TV show that I follow is Drag Race. I don't follow anything else. Sometimes we used to watch some episodes of the show with Gordon Ramsay, the cooking show, but that got old like really fast. Like really fast. We watched one season and that was it. Victoria, wait, oh my god, where are you from? It's 1:15 here in Croatia too. It's Central Europe. It's basically all of Europe excluding the UK and which is GTM 0, and I think then from Russia onward it becomes GTM plus 2. We are GTM plus 1. Dixie Poles. Yes. At top. Nightmare Trubator says, if you have the chance, you should take a nap before the stream. I have to take a nap to party at night. Back when I could. Yes, I usually do. When I do the usual reviews for the channel, when I do the chop on Sunday, I always try to go to bed a couple of hours. Like around 5 p.m., sleep until 7, then have dinner, and also wake up really late on Sunday. And that way I'm prepared. I just get, some energy drinks and I can go on for like 2, 3, 4 hours. It doesn't really matter. But since this is not like a normal week where we did a review, I actually didn't prepare anything. I just said, let's have a live stream, let's have a chit chat, whatever it is. But I didn't think about the fact that yes, if you didn't get a nap, you're going to fall asleep early, and that's how it is. Groover says people say we Europeans are good at English, not when it's late. Well, not even when I'm fresh. It's no secret that my English is pretty fucked up, but let's just laugh about it and be glad of what we have. Carrie Mack says, Drag Race is still the best reality TV show. Well, I'm not the most knowledgeable in reality TV shows, but judging by how advanced some things are, I would have to agree with you. And it's Drag Race, so. Groover, it's also 1:19 here in Sweden. Yes, we're all in the same, how it's called, time zone. It embraces like 2,000, yes, 2,000. Oh my god. 20,000 kilometers or something? No, I'm exaggerating. 10,000 kilometers probably. Fantasia, for your information, Candy Burrus is an entertainer who owns the company called Bedroom Candy. She is also housewife on the Housewife of Atlanta on Bravo. Oh, thank you for explaining it. You see, when you're not from the U.S., you are oblivious to all of this cultural things that happen there. We don't even get the same kind of television. At best, we get the same streaming platforms sometimes, because some platform will actually have some kind of content geo-locked. So if you are in the US, you only see some things, and if you are from Europe, you only see some other things. So it's actually difficult to keep track of all of these kind of things. So thank you. Groover, it's not that late. Well, speak for you. I enjoy going to bed about 10, 11 p.m. Well, if you're out, it's another thing. But if you're home, you go to bed, you relax, you watch something, pimple popping videos on YouTube. That always puts me to sleep like really nice, like really nice. And yeah, by midnight, you go to bed. I mean, we all wish we were teenagers and able to stay awake until 4 or 5 in the morning and then wake up fresh as a rose at 8 in the morning, but just doesn't happen anymore. Jules, oh good, the stream is still going. Yes, we're still here, don't worry. Sasha, it's 9:19 in Brazil. My God, 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. No, it must be 9 p.m. It must be 9 p.m. Melanie, it's midnight in UK. Yes, GTM 0. We're all getting knowledgeable about time zones in here. Jules, it's 1:20 p.m. on Monday in New Zealand. My God, it's already tomorrow. It's already tomorrow. Dixie says, I used to watch Hell's Kitchen, but Gordon got nasty to the extreme. Also editing issues. Hell's Kitchen. Or was it Kitchen Nightmares? I don't know. I cannot keep track of all of this thing. But it's, you know, it's trash TV. That's what it is. It's mostly like trash TV. Groover, I think your English gives a charm to the show. Oh, thank you. That is so nice. That is too nice. But thank you. Even though it's a little bit fucked up, you know what the problem is? Well, apart from being tired and so on, that you want to say things, but you just don't have the words. You know, and I should probably be more organized, maybe have a translator in Google Translate open all the time so that I can quickly, you know, Google the word that I need. But it's not the same thing. You cannot just talk at the top of your head, if you know what I mean. That's the only thing. And, well, we won't even get into pronunciation. That is a whole nother topic. Coffee, oh my God, I'm such an ignorant American not to explain a thing as if I'm the center of the world. I apologize. You are, there you see. Apology accepted. Apology accepted. Well, come on. Doesn't matter. Grover, I get tired by 1, 2 in the morning. Lucky for you. Seneca, it's 7:20 in the US. My God, late afternoon. Victoria, wait, can I ask, where did you guys watch the Rona special? Do you guys have any site recommendation? I can give you a recommendation, but not here on YouTube. If you pop in the Discord real quick, I can maybe give you a link, but not here. Not here at all. And remember, whenever we are here on YouTube, we cannot talk about links. We cannot talk about all of these things if it's not, you know, a recognized platform. Like people who subscribe to World of Wonder Plus and they can watch Drag Race in there. Or people who are, I think Drag Race, it's also on Netflix. It's also on Paramount Plus at this point. It should be. So, you know, of these things we can talk about. Other things, no. Let's keep it on another platform. That's better. that's much better. Groover, wait, people go to sleep earlier the older they get? I don't know if that's good or bad. Well, for me, it's just more efficient. You know, you go to bed early, you wake up early, you have the whole day in front of you. I miss nighttime because sometimes nighttime is the best time, but you know, if you gotta live in the world, you cannot go to sleep at 5 a.m. and expect to have a normal life. Jules, already tomorrow and we are preparing for another kind of lockdown. Oh, that sucks. Well, we're all in lockdown. Lockdown, we can say. We always said that word, nothing happens. So lockdown, we can say. But yeah, we too. It's been so long. I knew it was happening. You know, I was prepared for it. I was mentally prepared for it. But it's been so dragged on, you know. I did something that we don't do very often, because we cannot afford it, is go out for dinner, you know. Even something simple like go eat Chinese. But we do that like once every couple months, probably. Maybe once a month if we have to celebrate some. But I miss that. I miss that so much. Just sit on a restaurant, not having to cook, not having to wash, and just enjoy a nice dinner out. This is something that I really, really miss. Most of all. Everything else I can cope easily with, but, you know, going out, have a nice dinner out, that is everything I'm really asking for at this moment. And maybe out for a beer. But that is something else already. Seneca, Hell's Kitchen was awesome. I don't care for the newer season. I think I'm confusing Hell Kitchen and Kitchen Nightmares. Because he had like a ton of this. MasterChef, there we go. That's the one I was thinking about. MasterChef. He has so many. Hotel Hell. That's something that I saw on YouTube. Hotel Hell. He has like a ton of this. I think he's making more money out of these shows that from years. Yes, I can completely understand it. Fantasia, meet us in the Discord. Oh, thank you for the link. Thank you, Secretary, for doing the job. Carrie Mack says, I agree, and the storyline manipulations are becoming more noticeable. Drag Race UK and Drag Race Netherlands are a lot of fun. I'm actually enjoying Drag Race UK so much more than the actual show. It feels so raw, so real. It's so nice. Felicia, Seneca, you must be on the East Coast. It's 4:26 here in La La Land. Dixie, Out TV in Canada plays Drag Race. Yes, I know that as well. And do you know how I know that? Because back in the day, we received a copyright complaint from Out TV for our Drag Race videos. Nightmare says, even Twitter closes account due to sharing links that have to deal with that. Yes. You know? So these are things we don't really talk about. No, not in here. We pretend like, but you know, a lot of people subscribe to World of Wonder Plus to get all of the content from World of Wonder. So you can watch everything related to Drag Race there. And depending on which nation you're in, Drag Race will be on another major streaming platform. So here, for example, we get it on Netflix, I believe. So, you know. Groover, Sweden is not in lockdown. We are the U.S. of Scandinavia. I hate you. Jules, it's rough because we've been used to going out and about with friends and went out for dinner and now it's closed again. Well, you're lucky. Here, how has it been? 4, 5 months? 3, 4? I don't know. It's been too long. It's been too long. Dixie, I'm nocturnal. I sleep when I see light. Groover, we don't have restrictions, we have recommendations. Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, at least it's not extreme, you know. We can still go out of the house, have a nice walk, do our groceries, but, you know. Kitchen nightmares. Seneca, I only watch clips of Kitchen Nightmares on YouTube and that's it. Yeah, I watched some of those, but there are so many, you know, I always confuse the Kitchen Nightmare and the other one. Hell's Kitchen, yes. I don't really know the difference, but I used to watch some clips on it because there was this huge thing with a restaurant owner that had some problems with online trolls, so it became like a huge thing. That's how I actually discovered that show. Jules, Ahura and Thais are so funny. I actually like Lawrence. I'm leaving for Lawrence at the moment. Victoria, see, I didn't know that about the links and stuff. Sorry, no worries, no worries. It's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. Jules says we don't get Drag Race UK in New Zealand Netflix. Yeah, because with all these streaming platforms, it depends which nation you're actually in, because they might have sold the rights to different streaming platforms. So, for example, I remember, because it's something that I actually follow, when, you know, this new Star Trek that they did, which to me is like completely trash. It's not Star Trek. It's a show with a Star Trek name. But in the US, it aired on CBS All Access. But everywhere else, it aired on Netflix. So it really depends on which nation you're in. Five months in lockdown. Oh, yes. No, but it's probably more 4. But what can you do? I mean, could be worse. Could be worse. You know, it helps knowing that basically half of the world is in the same exact situation. So you're like, well, if everybody is doing it, we are doing it as well. We are all doing it. And let's look at it like this. When we will finally get out from lockdown, it would be so enjoyable just because we have to endure it for so long. Let's look at it like this. Otherwise, if you start thinking of all of the things you cannot do, you would just get crazy. Groover, I hate being where I live. We are spreading it like crazy, and they are letting people go out and ski. Oh my god. I cannot hear these things. At least schools are shutting down after our sport break because of people going to ski, but only for like a week. My god, that it is so irresponsible. Fantasia said, is Pink Flamingo worth $13? I can't find it online, but Walmart has it for $13. I don't know because I didn't watch it. I don't think it's something you would necessarily own. Maybe if you can find it on a streaming platform is actually better, because it's a kind of it's an iconic movie from what I actually read, but it's not for the feeble. So I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. I think it would be more worth it to spend those $13 on a streaming platform that actually has the movie. So you can watch the movie for the same amount of money. You don't own it, but you can watch it. And then for the rest of the month, you can watch a bunch of other stuff. And then if you're not satisfied, you can remove your subscription. Carrie says, I came late. Did you talk about Carrie, we don't say the C word on stream. Did you talk about the latest episode of Drag Race? What interesting, because the UK special was so much better. I haven't watched the UK. Did I watch the UK special? No, I didn't watch it, so I cannot really compare. But yes, I talked about it for, I think, 20 minutes. Just some things that I noticed. It wasn't really a review. It was more of let's talk about some things. Let's have some fun. Let's have a chit chat. That was it. It was really, really little. Jules, we have UK Drag Race on a different platform. Well, that's a pain in the ass because you have to subscribe to a ton of different services to have what you used to have just by getting cable TV. It's insane. Okay, Carrie, sorry I didn't know. No worries. No worries, you know. Because, you know, YouTube is the way it is. You never know what the algorithm will pick up from the comments or so on. Like, I make you an example of how the algorithm works. We have a video called Top 10 Editing Fails on Drag Race. And just because we used the word fail in the title, the algorithm picked it up as something that might contain sensible topics. So they demonetized the video, which, I mean, it's still acceptable, but when a video is demonetized, it actually doesn't get suggested as much anymore because, you know, they don't make money out of it. And we couldn't do anything about it. And a ton of people are getting video shut down because they pick up these words from the comment, from the chat, from the actual speaking of the person. And, you know, I don't want any more troubles with YouTube. We went through our fair share of troubles last year, and I talked a ton of time about this on stream. I'm really, you know, I'm actually full of it. I don't want to have any more trouble with YouTube, but I'm just here to do my thing. Leave me alone. That's what I think, you know. Groover, what's the V word? Is vagina. I think it's vagina. You know, it's that, you know, that thing related to the lockdown. That's the word. Dixie, I think I know where you're from, and my Facebook friend has to go out to work and has been living in fear. My God. Nightmare says the UK special was moving for me. I cried a lot for Veronica and had to remind myself that she will be back. She will also have to get a total new set of runway outfits. Double the expense. So, well, still good that she will be back next season. At least they said they will invite her back and she will probably accept. But let's not forget that you will have to buy outfits again. Just Alana said, I made it to a live. Well, it's actually live. Yes, we're actually live. Well, welcome, you know. You actually managed to join when we didn't have a full review prepared. But, you know, at this time in the night, it's a kiki time. So we just chit-chat, read comments, answer questions, whatever it is. Or take a cigarette pause. Why don't we take a nice cigarette pause so you guys can get a drink or go to the toilet or go to smoke or get something to eat, whatever it is. I will go smoke a nice cigarette and do I still have energy drink? No, it's finished. Well, I should probably cut on energy drinks. It's been 3. I want to fall asleep before 4 in the morning tonight. So it would be nice. So let's take a little bit of a pause. Do I have music? Yes, I loaded a ton of music just in case. What are we going to do? We are going to do this one. I don't know what it is. I don't know how long it lasts, but it's copyright free and it's music. So, okay. See you in 5 minutes. See you in 5 minutes. And we're back. Where's the image? Where's the image? Here it is. Okay, Fantasia says, give me the name of that 1.5 music that was playing. The first one or the second one? Oh, shit, I don't have the name of that. I don't have the name of that because it was a song that I used for When Fans Go Too Far, Part 2, for covering up the copyrighted music that was actually playing in the live show. And I named the song Ms. because it was for Miss Cracker. But it's called Midnight Something. It's on the YouTube library. If you wait a moment, I can find it for you. Let me see. Studio, because YouTube has a ton of free music that you can use. I usually choose something from Incompetech because it's more quality, but YouTube has an audio library. So let me check. It will take a moment. Search here. No. Could it be this one? I don't know if you... sorry if you can hear music in the background, but... No? Yes, it's called Midnight. It's from the YouTube audio library. Let's see if I can give you a link. No. Why doesn't it give you a link? Wait a moment, I need to inspect the page. No, there's no link. But it's in the YouTube audio library. If you have troubles, I can give you... Well, no, wait a moment. Let me search. Maybe I can find it fast. There it is. Okay, here's the link. There we go. We found it. Oh, you found it. Oh my God. Okay. Well, there is the link. There is the link. Okay. Dixie, let the dog out so it will stop spitting on my back. Melanie says, Serial Mom is a great film. Never saw it. Never saw it. Never heard of it. Let me check. Oh, Caitlin Turner. I love Caitlin Turner. She's such an amazing actress. Where did I fall in love? Which movie was it? Which movie was it? It was an old movie, it's like from the 80s or something. Oh, The War of the Roses. It's an old 80s movie. It was incredible. So I wanted to ask you guys, did you see the... there's been a lot of talk in the last week and the week before also, because there is a show in the U.S. called the Tamron Hall Show. and they actually invited Redacted to participate and tell her story and so on and so forth. And there's been a lot of talk of people actually having an opinion on this whole thing, because some of the, as I have to say, alleged victims, because, you know, it's being politically correct, actually asked to not air this interview to Redacted. And the show kindly said no, and they aired this interview anyway. Now, I didn't watch it. I had enough of that whole situation. It's just, you know, she admitted fault, but she never really admitted fault to anything specific, which is very smart in a bad way. And so a lot of people have been saying, why are they giving this person a platform? And the point is, why didn't they bring some of the alleged victims in here and open an healthy debate about it? It sounded a lot, I repeat, I didn't watch this thing, so I have no actual way of knowing what exactly went on, because I'm just too full of it. But what do you think about the idea of bringing this person to a platform to explain her story, to tell her part of the story? Because a lot of people say she shouldn't have any kind of platform whatsoever, and you are shady for giving her one, for basically for views, for for getting views to your shows. And other people say, no, we should talk about it, no matter how, because it needs to bring visibility to the issue. So you have this thing that you can basically see from two different points of view. Groover says, oh yes, it was crazy. Seneca, I know what you're talking about. Yes, it's here on YouTube. I had a link. I actually watched like the very, very beginning. When I started hearing her tone of voice, I thought, you know what, it's too much for me. It's enough. I've had enough of this whole situation. I don't care anymore. Sasha says the victims all refused to go to the... I didn't know that. I didn't know that they refused. I know that on Twitter, some people retweeted the fact that they asked to take the whole segment down, but I didn't know that they refused to be on. That I didn't know at all. Well, you know what? For me, the problem is that whenever you have this kind of issues, I would have liked if they invited an expert on the matter, because that kind of predatory behavior, it's something, it's not a common thing. I don't want to believe that it's a common thing in that way and for that amount of time. So maybe an expert to dissect the issue. It felt, to me, it felt like a money grab in a way. And I don't know. But there was, if you're interested, there was a podcast that I haven't actually listened to it. I tried to listen to it, and then I thought, you know what, it's so much. I don't want to be in this issue too much. But they talked about it, Lady Bunny and Monet. They have a podcast called Ebony and Irony. And they talked about this thing that was going on. Grover says, Redacted really thought she was getting her career back. Yeah, that is really debate. You know what I wouldn't mind? If she would have taken full responsibility for it. Come forward and said, this person said this. It's true. I did this, and I'm sorry for doing it. To this person, I did this, and I'm sorry for doing it. And then you go into therapy. Maybe you can make some sort of vlog when you openly talk about all these kind of things, and people would be actually more receptive to understand that, you know, in a way, you are sick and you're getting help for being sick. So your sickness doesn't represent the entirety of your person, you know, and put it more in that way, because this way it really looks like she stayed silent for 1 year, thinking that maybe people will forget about it, maybe the issues will get somehow watered down, and I don't know. Lena said she doesn't need to tell her side. She hurt people in a deviant way, and that surrenders her right to defend herself. If you mean defend by denying or this kind of things, I completely agree. If you mean that kind of the honest human story behind it, which I don't think she's able to tell, then I don't agree, because there are people who actually make huge mistakes and then, you know, work hard to go past them, to understand what the problem was, to understand what needs to be worked on, and so on. And that is one thing, but defending as if trying to avoid the consequences of what you did, then I absolutely agree with you. That's you know, that's too much. Goover says and also Redacted apparently performed last year twice. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Like in public, like she got, somebody booked her. Sasha says some were saying this was an attempt for a comeback, and thankfully it didn't go well. Yeah, but did you guys saw this? Beatrice says Lady Bunny and Monet at the victim Danny Mirandola on their podcast, Ebony and oh yes, that's the one that I was talking about. By the way, that podcast is very good. They always have very good guests on the second half of it. Yes, I had the link. I can actually give you guys the link, because I had I must have the page on my history. So it must be here if any of you is interested. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Here it is. February 27th. Is it this one? Yes, here it is. Beatrice, oh yes, this I read. Groover, it was an attempt because Redacted started posting on her, so oh shit. Shit. Fantasia, I think to each his own on this subject, because I really wanted to hear her side. I wanted to know what she thought was going to happen, and wish you was going through at this moment not to feel sorry, but I think I missed something there. To hear her side, I don't think we would be okay for it, but I am curious to know what happened. Well, for me, it's more on the learning side, if you know what I mean. It's not about the finding out the details, you know, because there is a ton of details. A ton of people came forward, a ton of people said what they wanted to say, but it's more on the taking responsibility, you know. It could have been an example of going through really a mental illness, a form of mental illness, that it's a serious thing, and the way you can react to it in a human way and learn from it. But from what I'm seeing, to me, it seems like it seems like it's really disingenuous. Like, yeah, I did all this kind of things and I'm going to apologize. I'm going to play the part, but it doesn't feel like genuine, you know? It doesn't feel like opening, about talking about it in an open way. Do you remember that apology that came out where she said, oh yes, on the show I learned to love myself and learn not to do these kind of things? And then people came forward from the same city, the person that said that he got steroids for doing the part, that, and that thing went on until January or something. It was all this sort of, it was also sordid. It was really too much. Sasha says, I didn't watch the interview, but for what I heard, she really tried to blame it on her disease, but Hamar didn't let her do it. Oh, I'm really happy about it. When I heard of it, I thought, I never heard of this show. It must be a kind of bottom of the barrel show. And they're going to get their publicity out of interviewing this controversial figure. But I didn't know that they fucked her during the interview, although I'm pleased to hear it. Beatrice, the podcast is Ebony and Irony. Sorry for the mistake. No worries, I didn't even read it. Groover, she got booked for a small gig. She said in an interview. Fuck. Dixie, I'm very interested. Thank you. You're welcome. Rebecca, she needs to accept the responsibility and start making amends. Felicia, she's been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Well, I think that if you dig deep enough, and if you're paying someone, you can bet you can be diagnosed with almost anything you want. In a way, I do not agree with the diagnosis. To me, a behavior like that tells more of a narcissistic personality disorder, because you really don't give a shit of whoever is on the other side. It's about you and your needs and your wants, and doesn't matter who pays the price or how much of the price you pay. Coffee, it's the lying about everything on the first stop of the redemption tour for me. In addition to the allegation and not giving people targeted by these crimes on a platform or a voice. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same for me. It was that apology that came out. Fantasia, but where are the lawsuits? It's been a year and we haven't heard anything about anyone pressing charges. Yes, but you also have to understand one thing. You also have to understand one thing. When you are bringing in a lawsuit, you need proof. Hard evidence. What usually happens is that you consult with a lawyer, and the lawyer will tell you, well, you have a good chance or you don't have a good chance based on how much of a case you can actually build, because you need hard evidence to build your case, and then you need to invest the money for it. So unless it's something that your state is willing to prosecute on their own, so that you don't actually have to invest the money for doing it, that is one thing. But if you have to go on your own, even with hard evidence, I understand why some people will simply tap out of it, because not only you have to go through all the emotional trauma that comes with it, you also have to pay for doing it. So, at some point, some people might say, you know what, I prefer to invest my money into my own health and just put this thing behind. So, the fact that there are not lawsuits doesn't mean that there necessarily wasn't anything there. So, because, when you have this amount of people that come forward and all tell the same story and all have the same you can realize that there are connections between the stories. They look actually as the same story that was fed to different people. So unless it's something that will be prosecuted directly by your state, then I wouldn't discount the whole thing based on the fact that there is a lack of lawsuits at all. Dixie says, the fact that she repeated the same behavior after she had been caught, it's all I really need to hear. And that's about it for me. Yeah, you see, it's kind of manipulative behavior that you just don't try to give it up, Even when she was apologizing, it came off. That's what I think happened in that show, that she basically tried to do the same thing that happened during the first apology that led to her elimination. Groover, where are the lawsuits? Maybe they exist or are in the works. I don't think there is any. I think that they would have talked about it in this show. So if we would have heard of it, like you came to me and say, well, Tamron didn't let her talk, then something like that would have come out if there was anything. Dixie, speaking of steroids, there's something that really concerns me. These people have permanent emotional problems, but only time will tell what those steroids have done. My guess is that they took large dosage. Yeah, that's the thing that really fucked up with me as well. It's not just all of these things that it's like the permanent physical damage that you cannot avoid. Rachel, finally caught a live stream, and the first thing I hear is borderline personality disorder. What happened? Oh, Rachel. It's late at night. We were talking about things that we almost never talked about. The interview to Redacted. Coffee, not to mention PTSD and other potential diagnoses of those who went through that. Yeah, it was a shit situation, When I saw this, I didn't know that actually Tamron went on Redacted, but I would have preferred if they actually made a little bit of a more conscious segment, like bringing an expert, somebody who knows exactly these kind of behaviors, who knows exactly which kind of diagnosis or possible diagnosis can be behind it. Because, it's easy to simply say, well, I am sick and that's it, as if you didn't have any part in it. Yes, of course, a sickness is a sickness, but still, when you have a chance to come forward and be honest about it, be honest about it. Dixie, the interview was very serious about what she was doing, and she was not letting him off the hook. Oh, I'm happy to hear about that. Someone spoke into her earphone to tell her she... Wait a moment. Someone spoke into her earphone to tell her she changed her line of questioning. She was furious. I didn't know that. What do you mean change the line of questioning? Dixie continued, I'm a therapist, and 1 out of every 100 people has some borderline personality. Do we all have perfect personality? Most of them are slightly out of order. That doesn't mean anything. Yes, we're all on a spectrum. I mean, there is no hard line between at least mental, a mental sickness and not a sickness. It's like really a spectrum. Groover, Redacted apparently doesn't have the videos the guy sent to her, she said. I don't believe that. Yeah, you see what I mean. When you need to bring evidence, you need to relive all of those sort of things. Some people simply want to, to forget, move forward. Not everybody will be there and say, okay, listen, I will continue to torture myself to bring this person to justice because that's the right thing to do. Yes, of course it's the right thing to do, but I cannot come to you and tell you should go through all of this because that is the right thing to do. At the end of the day, you're still a fucking human. Dixie says, I agree with you, Matt. I see a narcissistic personality disorder or even a sociopath. Of course, there are my opinions. Yes, are my opinions as well, But to me, it looks more like it's all about yourself. And there was an excellent podcast from Bob and Monet when they actually, on the siblings rivalry, they talked about it last year. And they were talking about this thing that she has of idolizing villainous figures in entertainment, as the one who can get away with it, things like this. Melanie, it's so annoying when people blame mental illnesses when in reality they're just shitty people. Well, I think it's a kind of a midway. At some point you have to acknowledge the fact that if there is a real mental problem there is a real mental problem there. But there is also the person that's behind this mental problem. So it's always like a kind of conversation. Yes, your sickness kind of pushes you to do something, but then there is also you behind it. It's not 100% one or the other. And whenever I hear people going to one of these two opposites, I immediately kind of shy away because the truth is somewhere in the middle. Valentine, I've heard borderline personality is more like behavior that's risky, like needing other people, drugs, gambling, I wouldn't know about that. That it becomes something more specific. You need to actually kind of work in the field, and even if you do, you're talking by impressions. So only the person who's following her, if she's being followed, knows what actually the deal is. Felicia, Lifetime Movie Network here in the States has a movie on right now called Brutal Bridesmaids. I would love to see a drag version of this movie. I don't know it, never heard of it. Jaylene Benno, did you all know that some people actually defend Redacted? Well, I'm not surprised of that. When you go on the internet is wild. You will find everything. So I believe that's a definite possibility, without a doubt. I believe you. I totally believe you. Groover, the fact that she kept doing this bad thing in different people until the day before she got exposed is disgusting. Yeah, you know what I want to say? This whole thing could have been a great opportunity to actually, because this issue is going to be talked no matter what. So it could have been a great opportunity to follow through, if you know what I mean, to document it, to actually give a prime example of something that can go terribly wrong and how you recover from that. Because, I hope I'm not the only one, but I believe in rehabilitation, even if it takes years of work and hard work. But I believe in that. I don't want to live in a world where you think that things like this cannot be rehabilitated. People like this cannot rehabilitate. So it could have been a great way to actually deal with this kind of things publicly, because things are going to be out anyway. People will get to learn something. She would get an opportunity to be honest, maybe one day get a career. I don't know in how many years we can talk about that, but I think it's a missed opportunity in a way. Because after all, this happened. There is no going back. This thing is out. Fantasia, I will say that they did not blame their mental illness, sickness. She said it was a control thing. Oh, I didn't know that. But I can see it, that it was a control thing. I read some of the messages from people who came forward, their story. It definitely looked like a control thing when things lasted for, my God. Rachel, I agree with you that diagnosis kind of push as an excuse in this case. This was reprehensible for anyone to do regardless. Victoria, right now I'm using you guys as background noise and slowly questioning my life as I study physics last minute. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Fantasia, I wouldn't encourage that anybody who has not seen the interview with Tamara Hall did not allow Sherry to blame mental illness. She asked her about what she was doing, and Sherry had pretty much nothing to say about actually repairing the damage she's done. And she asked her about legal ramification. And when Sherry started to talk about her home life as she was when she grew up in her abusive family, they cut the interview off. Ooh! Oh my God! Good for them! Good for them! You know, a lot of people will come off with those sort of things, saying, yeah, I have this kind of past and so on. Yes, I can accept all of that, but first, take full responsibility. Then you can talk to me about how this thing came in the first place, and I can get more on my human side. But, you know, the first thing is taking full responsibility. Felicia, my question is, redacted, then permanently removed from the community? Is there redemption for her? Can she be restored back to the community? I like to believe yes, because at the end of the day, what she did was, if all of these things are true, and I do believe they are, I want to believe that she can be redempted from this. She can move forward for this. But the point is, she didn't kill anybody, you know? At some point you put a limit. You set a limit and say, if you cross this limit, I don't care if rehabilitation is possible. I want you to not have your freedom anymore. I want you in, behind bars. So she didn't kill anybody. So that doesn't change the gravity of what she did. But I like to believe that for things like this, rehabilitation is possible. But judging for what I'm seeing, by what Fantasia wrote, that looks like the kind of behavior of someone who is not really rehabilitating at all. At all. Seneca, I think there can be rehabilitation in people, but they have to put the effort in. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And putting the effort in, it's not going to a therapist once a month for 6 months. Putting in the work, it means go to your fucking therapy once, twice a week, whatever it is, 3 times a week. Take pills if you need to take them. Work on yourself. Go through everything that you have to do. I mean, I'm not an expert on this kind of situations, but, from the outside, I would say that the first thing that you need to do is to take full responsibility. The problem is that, let's be honest about it, she cannot take full responsibility because the moment she admits, yes, I gave steroids to this person, then you're automatically giving proof of your behavior, and that can be punished by law. At that point, people can really push charges and not worry about it because you basically gave them proof. So she cannot do that. Groover, wait, they cut it off? I remember it still being on. Maybe I didn't think of it. Victoria, I'm going to bed now, but love chatting in this live and already can't wait for the next week. Thank you for coming. It was really nice. Thank you. Fantasia, she would have to do a lot for the community at large in order for people to start accepting her. She's going to have to give a lot of money. She's going to have to get a lot of free time. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. But she said, Fantasia continues, she said she admitted to everything that those people accused her of. I don't think so. Judging from what I've seen, I don't think so. Mostly because some of the things that she did were illegal. Like, they were not only, if you pass me the term, immoral in a way, because there are a ton of things that are perfectly legal, but, you know, they are considered immoral. Like, for example, betraying your partner. You know, that's the first thing on the top of my mind. You can do it. It's not illegal. Still, you're a shitty person for doing it, but it's not illegal. So I don't know, because I don't know the laws there in the US and the laws there in that specific state. But I do know that the steroid thing, that's an illegal substance. So if you are providing it, you know, let's take an example that we all know. Latrice went to prison because of illegal substances. So if Latrice had to do her time, then, you know, Redacted should do her time for procuring an illegal substance. Plain and simple. That's why I don't think she admitted to that. Because even a public prosecutor at that time, at that moment, could take the case and say, well, you admitted to doing that. Let's bring you to justice. You know, plain and simple. Felicia, she would have to go to rehabilitation process like they do with AA. Yes, yes. Mrs. G, I missed a live, just popping in at a long-ass day. Yes, and we are talking about the dark-ass topic. Maybe we should try to change the topic, or maybe even go to sleep. I think it's almost definitely time. Dixie, I have to believe people can recover from the most dire of situation if they have the true desire and willingness to do so. But we can't be the judge of that. Yes, you have to be, you know, in a way you have to be an expert to actually see if someone can recover from this kind of things, you know. But as I say, for example, take addiction. You never really recover from addiction. You never really go back to where you were before. But what you can learn is to learn to contain your addiction. It's to learn to stop taking a substance. It's to learn to cope with different situations that might bring you to abuse a substance again. But you don't really get 100% back. So, you know, in a way, this is true for many kind of mistakes that one can make in life. You never really get 100% back where you were before, but you can get very close to 99%. So I would have appreciated if something like this came out of this situation, because let's face it, the damage is done. So at this point, the only way to go is to go forward, you know. Bring something that at least you can say, yes, the damage was done, but at least we learned something, you know, at least we brought something, you know. She could have done so much with all this situation, and by helping herself, people would have also learned about actually knowing more about these kind of situations, how they happen in the first place, how they are carried on, what are the consequences of it. It could have been a very public thing, which would have made everyone more knowledgeable, but, you know, I don't know, it's a difficult thing. And I also mostly tend to draw my attention to the more educational part of it, you know, because again, damage is done. What can you do about it? Groover, I have to go to bed now. It was nice chatting with you all. Yes, I hoped we would leave on a more lighter note, but I wanted to talk about this before, but I completely missed it, so it came out later. Anyway, let's go to bed. Let's have a good night's sleep. I will see you back next Sunday so that we can continue with the review for the show. It will be the Snatch game, so of course we're going to have charts for the Snatch game as well, as usual. And you can pop in the Discord. Usually we have our chit chat around Thursday, I believe. Thursday or Wednesday. I think Thursday. I think it's Thursday. So I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for coming, and have a nice week. See you soon, guys. Good night.